was a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation as I get my mouse mat ready to actually scroll down. Another massive shout out and thanks to Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach is as flat as the earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Henrik86, Liam Nedrick, Irwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, theflatearthchannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Alexander Main, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now there are 2 or 3 people in Discord, so I'll raise the mic on them, and you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
He's running away from me. I did invite him to come, but he's already making excuses.
It seems that way, at least.
Yeah, he says my video is lying. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can. Like, on what grounds can he say that your video is lying? He never offered any proof for that accusation.
Apparently, the balloon is tethered to something, even though I show it's not tethered to anything.
The balloon is tethered to something. Wasn't it Play-Doh or something? And it was in the inertial reference frame?
Oh, hold on.
Exactly. I even showed it.
Sorry, this could be quite useful. So, his assertion is that because it's tethered, it isn't drifting. You need to peg him down on what he's actually stating. So, is his claim that because it's attached, you don't see drift? You need to peg him down on that. That's critical.
Yes, that's why I wanted him to come on. Because I wanted to actually debate him live on about it. But yeah, he's just a keyboard warrior that runs around.
So let's go on with that, Nathan, and see where you're going. So if he's claiming the reason you don't see drift is because it's tethered, then what would happen if it wasn't tethered?
Well, the implication is therefore, if the balloon isn't tethered, we'll see 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth turns underneath the inertial reference frame the balloon is in when it's not tethered to Earth. Because obviously if it's not tethered, it's not attached, and Earth is claimed to rotate underneath at 15 degrees an hour. It's called coriolis deviation. So you look at the balloon, and it looks like the balloon's moving away from you. If it's not tethered, it's just balanced with weights or whatever. Well, if it's just balanced, not attached, not tethered, then it would appear to drift away from you at 15 degrees an hour. That's the claim. I mean, it's not like we need Sly to confirm what they claim. They claim coriolis deviation. You know, ball gets kicked from the football field, and from the stands looks like it curves through the goalposts. In reality, the ball is not actually drifting. Earth's rotating underneath. So it just looks like it's drifting through the goal. In reality, the goal moves under the ball. That's coriolis deviation. So that's what they're claiming. So he's asserting Earth should rotate underneath that balloon if it's not attached. So you need to peg him down and actually get him to state that in line with their religious belief that that's the case. So just so we're all absolutely clear, Sly agrees with the rhetoric that if the balloon isn't attached, i.e. in an inertial reference frame, we'll see it appear to drift away, because we're turning underneath according to the claim that is suggested to prove Earth spins. So, yeah, peg him down on it.
So then
flat.
Simon Dan is wrong.
No, hang on. Let's carry this on. Why don't you take two balloons, tether one to the floor, and do the other one the way you did it, side by side?
Oh, I can do that. It's just going to get the same results though, but okay.
No, I know, but no, I know what's going to happen, and you know what's going to happen. It's very simple. You've said it before, and I've said it before. If you jump up in the air and you're up in the initial reference frame for 1 second, in feet, over 1,500 feet of Earth will travel west to east under me, and I think it's 460 meters.
Correct.
It's not doesn't work. It's not happening.
Yeah, well, I'm just waiting for his new video to come out. Apparently, he's got some debunking revelation video on me.
I'm
so
really
just
pleased
waiting for that so I can dismantle it.
I'm really pleased, Flatzoid, because of your balloon. That spurred off a guy to super chat about Simon Dan and his tweet, and from there we've had White Knight Rumpus come in and double speak his way every second breath about rotating together one reference frame, like Simon Dan's claiming, and simultaneously saying, oh no, Bob's proved deviation, 15 degrees thereof, as, not that Bob claims this, they claim Earth turns underneath, second reference frame, deviation, ball goes through the goal because Earth turns underneath, second reference frame. That's their actual claim. Of course, if that was the case, you'd take off from Charlotte, North Carolina, travelling to LA, and LA would be coming towards you. Now that's what you'd need to happen for you to look up at the plane and say, hey, it looks like it's drifting. Like you look up at the ball and go, hey, it looks like it's drifting through the goal. Same thing. You observing drift from the ground because you're spinning. That's the only way you achieve spin, is if you're spinning. So you're supposed to be on the ground spinning, that's their claim. And looking at things not attached, drifting. Now they're not actually drifting, it's you turning underneath them, that's their claim. So, we've got a claimed 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth rotates underneath an inertial reference frame, as per the globe claim that we've got drift. Then we get Simon Dan telling us, here's your reference frames destroyed, no drift, at 15 degrees an hour as we need to prove Earth spins, because he's mentally retarded, doesn't understand his own globe claim. So this whole balloon that you've launched, no pun intended, has been the springboard to this entire conversation. And it's finally coming to a head. People are finally starting to get it. Oh yeah, they've babbled on so much. They've laboured the point so much that they think Bob proved 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth rotates underneath. That gyro, right? Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson says the same thing. Earth turns underneath a football because it's not attached. So we see this drift because we're turning underneath stuff. And we're attached as we turn underneath stuff that isn't attached. That's the claim. So, what have you got, fundies? 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth turns underneath things that aren't attached to make them appear to drift. And turning underneath planes would shorten flight times. Is it 15 degrees an hour drift? Because that's a poison you're more than willing to swallow. Then I'll point out we don't observe that. Or you can take the Simon Dan approach and say, no, we don't have 15 degrees an hour drift. No drift. No proof Earth spins at all. But I can assume it's all spinning together. Total nonsense. We've got multiple directions of surface winds. Obviously, that's ludicrous. And it doesn't give you 15 degrees an hour drift to prove it's spinning when you assume it's all spinning together. So flying in the face of a claimed drift that you all bark on that apparently Bob's proved. So all travelling together, no drift, or Bob's proved drift that would shorten flight times. You're going to be dying by one of these poisons, fundies, and we're all going to sit by and laugh as you do. Glad it's coming to a head, Flatzoid. Kudos.
Yep. It's funny because they say coriolis and refraction, and we say there is coriolis and there is refraction. We're not arguing what those words are and what they would eventually prove if done a proper test. But we say, no Earth-based coriolis can be proven. And how'd you get 7/6R on your refraction? So they're actually giving us an argument against their own claim because there is no 15-degree drift, so there is no Coriolis Earth-based, and we can't see R to get a measurement. So how'd you get 7/6R for your refraction?
Beautifully summarised. It's endgame, this is. You know, we're sitting pretty. And I got some responses from Dan, shockingly, in the comments. And all he did was A, ad hom me, and B, avoid the actual question. Where's the drift? He's like, every time this comes up, it makes me smile. You don't get it. It's like, all right, it's the best you've got on ad hom fallacy. Do you want to take a look at these? I actually screenshotted them. I was going to save it for the live show, but as we're discussing it now, if I send them to... Who can present on screen? Any of you?
No, I don't know how.
None of you can stick it up. Right, I'll have to see if I can do it. No, that's okay. That's okay.
A bunch of thumbs.
I can send it to myself, and then I can just present it on Skype. So I'll do that if you give me 30.
Good job, Flatzoid. Flatzoid, good work, buddy.
Not listening.
No, obviously, I'm trying to keep the conversation going while you're going, but no one's listening.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm still fiddling. It's that's why I ask you guys to do this, because obviously I'm then immediately distracted so much that I can't do anything.
You go ahead. I'll talk.
I'm here. Start speaking.
Yeah. So, Neil, they say Coriolis effect as if it's their friend and it's going to help them. And then they say refraction as if it's their friend and it's going to help them. When we say, oh, well, guess what? There are friends too. A roundabout would explain Coriolis. And we know what refraction is, the bending of light, right? So when it hits a different medium. So let's put it to your Earth that's turning and your Earth that's supposed to have a curve because it's a sphere. And the minute we do that, their whole position falls apart. Then they argue against the very points they brought up those two words for, Coriolis and refraction.
That's correct.
How embarrassing.
You know what I was thinking though with that whole Coriolis and a roundabout? Let's say you're on a roundabout and you do that, you throw that ball to the other side and it does deviate. I've seen the videos. But how can you actually do that if the Earth is turning? Say the Earth is turning. So now you got, isn't it two things turning? So how can you do this test without being on a turning Earth, assuming that the Earth is turning?
No, the roundabout is mirroring or is a representative of if Earth was turning like the roundabout is turning.
Yeah, but if Earth is turning, it would be turning with the roundabout. No?
No. See, you're looking at a roundabout that's on the non-inertial reference frame, which is Earth. Okay, like the lamppost is in concrete, the roundabout is also...
I understand, but what if the Earth is turning?
I'm trying to explain. So, if the Earth is turning, and in their version, the Earth is turning, and you got a lamppost in concrete, right? So it's turning with the Earth because it's planted on the Earth. Got it?
Right.
Okay. Now, if the ball is sitting on the Earth, on the dirt, like a soccer ball on the ground, or football, American football. If it's just sitting there, it's turning with the Earth. But if you kick the ball or throw the ball, now it's no longer on the Earth, and the Earth should still be turning underneath it while those balls are in the air. Got it?
Yeah, we don't see that.
Correct. That's why there's no Earth-based Coriolis, but it does work on the roundabout because the roundabout keeps turning after you throw the ball straight up or you throw it across, because you're going by it because you're still turning. So it looks like an apparent deflection. It is an apparent deflection, but it's really going straight up or going straight across.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says there is a deflection.
There is no
Neil deGrasse
deflection.
says there is one.
Yeah, let's not get... Hold on, Neil. Yeah, before you all convolute it
tweeted it.
yourselves. Stop. Yes, there's claimed to be 15 degrees an hour deflection as Earth turns underneath a football, as asserted by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Now, if Earth turned underneath the football, it's also turning underneath an aeroplane. It's only an observed effect, so therefore it's only you turning underneath something not attached. Therefore, in both examples, you've got to be turning underneath it for the effect to be real. That's their claim, but it would shorten flight times. A flight from Charlotte to LA would take an hour and a half rather than 4.5 hours if LA was travelling towards the plane. For you to see it on the ground appear to drift because you're rotating underneath it. That's their claim. Now, to get around the fact that there isn't any drift observable in an aeroplane, a drone, a helicopter, and they claim there's observable drift in a bullet and a ball, is their rebuttal going to be, well, yeah, it's just because we haven't actually got a proof of Earth turn. It's not actually turning underneath anything. We just claim that with things in the air for a few seconds, even though they're debunked by a plane that's in the air for a prolonged period. And we should see it drift because we're supposed to be turning underneath it with Coriolis effect. Now, they're never going to admit that. They say, no, of course there wouldn't be any drift when we point out that there isn't any drift. They seem to side with us, but then assume Earth and atmosphere travel together. This is the whole blag. The blag is, assume Earth and atmosphere travel together when they point out nothing's drifting. Please stop interrupting me from Discord. On the trimmed out clips, all I can hear is Discord and G Plus constantly trying to get a word in while I'm discussing it with Rumpus. And then when I finally let a point come through, it's totally off topic. So it's like 5 minutes of whoever's in G Plus going, but, through the top of me. It's like, bloody hell, guys. So, there's no drift. When we get to the point we point out there's no drift, they say we wouldn't expect to see drift. Now that's come to a head, because I've got them by the balls. Dan showing no drift and me saying where's 15 degrees an hour. And their only rebuttal is to say we assume it all travels together. No drift then. So with Dan's nice example, with him held to account, I just wanted to go through this because I want to get it off screen. So I just want to actually read out what Dan's replies are. I'm demanding a response. What's your rebuttal? No drift in your example. Dan's response. The fact that the entire point of the trampoline video has been completely lost on you, quite honestly, makes my day every time you release a video on it. So his response is, you don't understand. And that amuses me. So an ad hominem attack. So if it's lost on me, maybe explain it. So I go on to, after pointing out that he's not actually responding, he's just ad hominem. Anyway, I go on to say, so, Dan, tell us the point. No drift shown by the guy on the trampoline. Feel free to detail how this helps Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim that we have 15 degrees an hour drift, shortening flight times when travelling west. Go. His response. I don't think it's in the next one. His response is actually to Mr. Sensible. So Mr. Sensible, again, excellent rebuttal. On topic, talking about drift, Mr. Sensible replies, Dan, he will never get it. I think he's more interested in fitting new batteries to his purple toy. Excellent rebuttal there. I did actually respond to him with his quote. At best, you have disproved the radius of the Earth. That was all I needed to respond to Mr. Sensible. But Dan chose to respond to Mr. Sensible and says, as I said, lost. That's the sum total of Dan's response. Merely an ad hominem and then a response to another ad hominem talking about dildos. That's what we get. I'm sorry, I've got a good sex life. That's not on topic. 15 degrees an hour deviation as the Earth rotates underneath a fixed frame of a gyro, as detailed by Rumpus, and claimed by many a fundy to have been proven by Bob Nodell. That's drift. Dan isn't showing drift. And he's not responding to why he isn't showing drift. He's saying it amuses him every time I bring it up and ask him to explain where the drift is at 15 degrees an hour, which I've continually parroted in that thread. So where's the drift? 15 degrees an hour, right? Bob Nodell proved it, apparently. But what? Simon Dan's debunking it? Reference frames destroyed? Well, if your claim, with reference frames, 2 of them, drift, 15 degrees thereof, has been destroyed according to Dan, what have you got to prove Earth spins? An assumption in the face of multiple directions of surface winds that you've got a closed system with Earth and atmosphere travelling as one and no drift? Well, that doesn't give you drift. That doesn't give you your claim that Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth turns under a football. That's a big problem. So, as I keep saying, Dan doesn't have any response. He's got his little white knight to defend him though, hasn't he? And he can come in and tell us how amusing it is to him. Well, he's an abject coward. He's having Rumpus come in and defend him with total doublespeak, claiming that Dan agrees with Neil deGrasse Tyson when Neil deGrasse Tyson claims Earth turns under a football and Dan shows a lack of drift. Let's just show that for the audience so I can round out this example. Here's Dan and his tweet to me, telling me all about how there's no drift, and then an example with no drift. So we need 15 degrees an hour. Dan's going to be known as No Drift Dan from now on, flying in the face of this supposed proof from Bob Nodell. Drift, right? 15 degrees. No. Dan's made it plain. Reference frames ruined, fundies. We don't need reference frames to make a claim about anything. You, on the other hand, need 2 of them and a drift at 15 degrees an hour. And Dan says those reference frames have been ruined and then shows no drift. Unlucky, fundies. Seems your poison is no drift, no 15 degrees an hour. Seems Bob didn't prove 15 degrees an hour. Reference frames ruined, no drift. That's fine by me. Take that poison all you like. Tell us there's no drift. I'm done. Thank you for allowing me to rant.
I just want to know how he knows the color is purple.
What colours? What purple?
His accusation about the battery.
About I'm totally lost. What are you talking about?
He accused you of having a toy that the color was purple that you had to put a battery in.
Yeah. I have. I've got plenty of purple.
No, I'm just saying, how would he know the color?
Because he's seen them on one of my videos that I had my bedroom in it, and there was loads of sex toys in my bedroom, which there is.
Too much, man.
Oh, well, you asked. What you want? I made a video with my bedroom in it. There was lots of sex toys
I want props.
Now he's obsessed with my sex toys.
Bonnie, Nathan,
Hello.
does that purple dildo deviate in any way?
Some of them have got rotation.
You
Nobody's
didn't
laughing.
get my prop pun,
It's
did
just
you?
me that's filthy. I know. I'm just filthy. I'm sorry. If
I'm
anybody
praying
finds
for
that,
you, but you should know my prop pun was good.
your prop.
Forget it. It's getting worse.
This is getting worse. Let's draw a line under this.
So, no drift. So then why are they arguing drift?
Yeah, why do they say Bob Nodell proved drift and then have someone like Simon Dan tell me that there's no drift and show me no drift and tell me that their use of 2 reference frames and a 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth turns underneath a fixed frame of a gyro, that's drift. Why he's telling me that those reference frames are ruined? I'll tell you why. Because they don't have any drift. And they need 15 degrees an hour. They keep barking on that Bob proved it.
Yeah, but Nathan, they keep saying snipers have to account for this drift, and artillery also has to account for this drift.
And they don't. But either way, they're claiming drift, aren't they?
Yeah, but if there's no drift, how in the world are they saying snipers are adjusting for it if there is none?
Yeah, they're not. There's loads of accounts. I pinned one guy, I don't know how true it is, to one of the videos where he's saying, I worked as a sniper and there's no drift. I don't have to account for it. There's plenty of accounts of people saying, no, that's simply not the case. It might say in the handbook, we don't use the handbook. We go out and we shoot guns. And we don't account for a coriolis deviation that we don't experience. So I've heard that plenty of times. The reality is, I'll accept it. Okay, Mr. Sniper's handbook. There's no drift. Right? But the Sniper's handbook says there is drift. Okay. So Earth's rotating underneath the sniper's bullet at 15 degrees an hour, meaning he's got to account for that. Well, if the bullet's left the rotating reference frame and the sniper's watching the bullet seem to drift, it's actually Earth turning underneath the bullet, then anything not attached to Earth, like the bullet, would also exhibit this not actual drift, like an aeroplane not attached to Earth. I'd look up at the aeroplane and it seemed to drift. Oh, what do you know? That plane looks like it's drifting. It's not. I'm turning underneath the aeroplane. Like the bullet. Yeah? The guy is turning underneath the bullet to make it look like it's drifting. It's not. It's travelling straight. But he's turning underneath that bullet. So goes the claim. Well, that would shorten the flight time because Earth would be turning underneath the plane, reducing a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA from 4.5 hours to an hour and a half because LA is coming towards it. Right? We're experiencing a not actual drift because we're turning underneath bullets that aren't attached, like planes and drones and balloons that aren't attached. Yeah, you go up in a balloon And then you come down in a different country, 15 degrees an hour's rotated underneath you. No, that doesn't happen. No, Earth isn't rotating underneath. No, the sniper doesn't have to account for Earth rotating underneath his bullet. If he did, flight times would be reduced. So I don't mind that poison. You can take the other poison if you like. I don't mind the Dan poison not being taken. No, there isn't any drift. Oh, right, no 15 degrees an hour, no proof Earth spins. Yeah, I don't want that poison. I want the, yeah, there is drift. 15 degrees an hour, Bob Nodell proved it. Really? So Earth turns underneath a sniper's bullet because it's not attached to the reference frame that's spinning. Right, well, neither's a plane. Or a hot air balloon, or a drone. So on the equator, a drone would take off and it would seem to drift away at 1,000 miles an hour if Earth was turning underneath it. And that doesn't happen. So, yeah, feel free to accept that Earth is turning underneath bullets. Or footballs, as Neil deGrasse Tyson says. Earth turned underneath the bullet, moving the goal. All right. Well, then it would turn underneath a plane. And that would shorten flight times. That doesn't happen, therefore Earth isn't turning. You're a ridiculous idiot that's asserting nonsense, Mr. deGrasse Tyson. The ball isn't drifting from the stands, or appearing to drift from the stands, because Earth's turning underneath that ball. If it was, you'd look up a bit higher, see a plane, and go, oh, that looks like it's drifting too, given that I'm turning underneath it. No, we don't experience that. Flight times would be reduced. Take your poison, I don't mind. Have me point out the flight times would be reduced with the Earth turning underneath at 15 degrees an hour, or deny it and have me point out you've got no proof Earth spins. Just an assumption in the face of multiple directions of surface winds that Earth and atmosphere travel as one, assuming your very outcome.
I love it.
I had some the other night that they correct for Coriolis.
Can't correct for a not actual deflection. Coriolis is you looking up at something not attached to a roundabout. Like a lamppost. I look up at the roundabout as I spin with my child on a roundabout, and it looks like it's coming towards me and going away. Coming towards me and going away. Does the lamppost have to account for that Coriolis deflection I'm observing as I rotate underneath it, given that it's not an actual deflection, it's merely me rotating underneath it? No. The lamppost doesn't have to account for me seeing it seem to drift. And likewise, a plane in the air doesn't get a radio command from ground control saying, "Ground control to flight 217, a man on a roundabout spinning beneath you seems to see you drift. Please account for this with your Coriolis indication equipment immediately." No, the plane doesn't get a radio command to account for someone on the ground who's claimed to be spinning underneath them, seeing them seem to drift. Because they're not drifting. It only seems that way because globers claim we're spinning underneath it. And we're not, because that would shorten flight times. If I'm spinning underneath planes to see them seem to drift, number one, that seeming to drift isn't actual, so the plane doesn't have to do a damn thing about it. And number two, that would shorten flight times.
We got them by the balls.
Yep. They even have to throw away Coriolis now. Everything's getting thrown away.
No, they've been arguing.
I even got Sly to. I even got Sly and Jeff today to throw away datums for measuring surveying. Apparently, it's just a dot on a graph now, so even geometry for them is gone.
When you ask questions of the ballers for the exact meaning of Earth-based Coriolis or what refraction is, they're going to say it always in the first go-around, where they feel it's going to support their globe model, because that's all the globe is a model. And then when you say, well, if you say that then, and then we bring our example, well, if the Earth is turning under the bullet, and if the Earth is revolving, and the bullet's going straight, but it would look like the bullet's curving, then it has to do that under the airplane. Then they change, just like a chameleon, they just change. So both sides of the argument, they hold positions on both sides of one argument. We only have one position on this argument.
Yeah, no drift. Earth isn't turning underneath anything is our position. If Earth was turning underneath, we'd see drift, as they claim we do. So they claim we do see drift, so show us drift. Oh, there isn't any drift, we wouldn't expect to see any. So you simultaneously have globe proponents claiming we see drift, Earth turns underneath gyroscopes. Because the gyro's not attached, it's in a fixed spinning reference frame, not drifting, not deviating. That's what gyros do. They stay spinning in the same place. That's their point. That's what it does. So if the cage moves around the gyro, it's because Earth's turning underneath that fixed frame. And likewise, a bullet travelling from the gun travels straight, and the guy has to account for the fact that after it's left the gun and isn't attached to Earth, according to their claim, Earth spins underneath the bullet. Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson backs this claim that we see drift because Earth's turning underneath stuff. Well, if it's turning underneath a football that's no longer attached, for us to see it seem to drift, then we'd look up a plane and it would seem to drift because we're spinning underneath it. Like we claim to spin underneath the ball and claim to spin underneath the bullet. We'd also spin underneath a hot air balloon. And we don't. Hot air balloon doesn't have the country that's 15 degrees away on a globe coming towards it an hour later. That doesn't happen. It just goes up and comes down. Your drifting drone isn't something you concern yourself with. On the equator, it's not drifting away at 1,000 miles an hour when you just stick it up in the air and don't press anything. You don't move the sticks, it's just hovering. But oh no, it's going away at 1,000 miles an hour! And then the guy next to you, clever dick, says, no, actually, it's just hovering. We're turning underneath because we've got Coriolis effect. What you're seeing isn't the drone moving, it's us moving underneath. That's Coriolis effect. Anybody ever have to experience that? Anybody got any clever dick mates that say, yeah, the reason your drone's disappeared at 1,000 miles an hour on the equator is because Earth is turning underneath and we're attached to it. So when it hovers, we're moving underneath it, right? Like, obviously, right? Because snipers have to worry about it. They fire a bullet and then they turn underneath the bullet when it leaves Earth. So that's why your drone's drifting away at 1,000 miles an hour. It's not, though, is it? Nobody's drone's drifting away at 1,000 miles an hour.
And Felix Baumgartner in the Red Bull jump left New Mexico, went up, and when he landed, if Earth was turning under him, as they say, at the speed of where that so-called latitude was, he should have landed in the Pacific Ocean, but he didn't. He landed in New Mexico.
Yeah, Earth didn't turn underneath him. There was no 15 degrees an hour deviation under Felix Baumgartner. Now, they claim there's a 15 degrees an hour deviation underneath snipers, bullets and footballs, so it'd have to be something observable underneath that, because it's not attached to Earth anymore. Like the bullet and the football aren't attached to Earth anymore for us to observe, not actual drift, because we're turning underneath a football, then we'd have to observe not actual drift as we turn under Felix Baumgartner. And if we're turning underneath him, Earth's turning underneath him. And the continent that he went up from wouldn't be underneath him anymore when he came back down a prolonged period later.
Well, there was a video that went around a few years ago about a skydiver without a parachute jumping into a target.
Can't make out what you're saying with all the noise. I'm really sorry, Flatzoid. It's just too much hose noise. I'm really sorry. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Flatzoid, Neil, 10th Man, Irwin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good
afternoon. How's it going?
Going great. Earth's not
Is the
spinning.
weather as beautiful over there as it is over here?
Beautiful weather on this stationary, non-rotating plane that we all dwell atop.
All right, can you see that?
Yeah, got Irwin's visual representation for anybody who's interested. Absolutely beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Lovely jubbly. Thank you, Irwin. Any evidence?
Yeah.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
What?
No evidence for the distance to the sun.
Well, it's over there, but yeah, no distance to it. Been trying to explain to a newbie how they might step away from the conception that it's actually a physical object in the first place. It was very tough on them. I forget sometimes, especially to newcomers, just entertaining that can be pretty mind-boggling at first. So, no proof of a distance. It might not actually be a physical object in a specific location.
Go on.
Nathan,
Yes.
yeah, to get a distance to the sun, what would they need to have knowledge of for sure?
Size of it. How big is it?
And then what about from the place that they're measuring from, say from Earth? What would they need the Earth? Would they need to know the size of Earth?
Well, to get the size of the sun, you'd either need the distance first, or to get the distance, you'd need the size first. Well, they extrapolate the size by an assumption of Venus being the same size as a presupposed spherical Earth, with a presupposed R value, which has no scientific validity and has been debunked by the Black Swan. They then assume that radius value is translatable to Venus, so they can apply Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion and derive all of the distances and sizes of everything, including the sun at 93, is it 96, whatever, million miles away. That's all derived from that assumption.
Right. So my question is this. They need to get the size of Venus, and they obviously already believe they have the size of Earth because they have a radius value, and they have to match Venus to Earth, correct?
Not exactly. They've got to obviously to prove their first fundamental presupposition that orbits are real. That light is a sphere, the same size as Earth, which is the bit you're discussing, falling around the sun. That orbital path, that orbital motion, that's what Kepler's third law is referring to. So obviously you've got to have that premise proven first. There's a whole string of presuppositions in this. We can detail all of them, I don't mind.
Well, no, yeah, let's do it, because I want to get, once they get past that, which they can't, but let's go with the orbits, but let's end up about, if they say Venus is the same size as Earth, then they can't be saying Earth is anything more than what they've said. It has to be the same size as Venus. It has to have the 3959 radius. They can't change that.
No, they can. They can. So for the sake of argument, if they said, okay, Earth now has a different radius and we're going to translate that into Venus, they can just change Kepler's mechanics in terms of the maths. This has been done. So I've seen Jeronism has done this. It's probably 3 years ago. It's a long while. It'll be a difficult task to find it. But he's done it. He's shown how the numbers can be changed any way you like. You can just fiddle it like a slider and change the proportions. In fact, it's happened. Maybe not in my lifetime, but it's certainly happened in recent history. You can change the distances to whatever you like.
No, I know they can do that, but their current number is based on what they accept prior to any modifications or changes, correct?
Yes, no takebacks. It's set in stone, metaphorically,
right,
and in their mind, reified physically. Yes.
Correct. So all their, this Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion is based on the current numbers as they stand. And if you were to go change those current numbers, make Venus smaller, which means the Earth would be smaller, or vice versa, make Venus much larger, and obviously Earth would be much larger. And then, of course, the whole thing about the sun, everything would change.
Yeah, you could just do that, though. It's quite easy to stuff a load of information that's current rhetoric down the memory hole and just have it change. 105 years ago, gravity stopped being the mass-attracting mass Cavendish, CV boys, Reverend John Michel Cavendish. That whole string of people that came up with a gravity that's now attributed to Newton was superseded. So they just changed it. Right? No ifs, no buts. Einstein's the new hotness now. Yep. The laws of motion were not right. That's right. Yep. Einsteinian mechanics now. Let's take it all into the abstract. Bending space-time. Yep. That's new. That's hotness. No, the old stuff was old. So they just change it whenever they feel fit.
Right. Now.
Yeah, that's what Sorry, that's what I said. That's why they want to keep it as ratios. Because if you can keep it as ratios, you can make it as one.
Precisely. Just change the ratio. Exactly.
Right, but their refraction, 7/6R terrestrial refraction, is based on the current understanding of R at 3959.
Yeah, but I could make it 8/6 if it suits me.
Yes. Yes, I know. What I'm trying to get to a point by belaboring it here, the basics, so the audience could hear. Everything they say about things disappearing bottom up, whether it's boats or buildings, is based on a non-geometric horizon, but refraction, because we can never see the geometric horizon. Yes or no?
Yeah, but I've just said, if I need to make it, what did I say? 8/6, so 4/3, R, I can. If I need to change R, I could do that. Now, you're saying it's set in stone metaphorically, reified, or otherwise. Yes, that's true. For them, they've got a physical size that's set in stone. Does that mean it can't be changed when in reality it's just a model and you can do whatever you like with it?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you can never see the geometric horizon, the R itself, how can you change it from 7/6 to 8/6 when you can never see it?
You can't. That's Irwin's paradox.
Well, you could technically see it when in the ideal standard refraction conditions, or in other words, when there's extreme refraction, so the line of sight is much shorter and the optical slant much more pronounced and close by, and then suddenly it kind of correlates. Remember that?
So you're saying if you got as close as possible to eliminating refraction, maybe getting like as close as possible to where the geometric horizon should be, limiting the refraction, that should give you a more accurate... In other words, you wouldn't want to get like high up and introduce all these different density gradient layers. You'd want to get really low down so that the geometric horizon was as close as possible. Have you heard of this example that someone did that? BMLSB69 with his black swan. There's also one on screen right now. People from the beach taking a picture of this flag, and there's a horizon behind it. So the geometric horizon they claim is exactly at this flag position, and yet the actual horizon's behind it. So we seem to have multiple examples where you do this limiting of the refraction. Obviously, get low, less layers to look through. And it seems that when you do that, it pushes the horizon beyond where the geometric horizon must be. And that's why they tell us that they need the R-based refraction they can no longer measure, paradoxically, Irwin. This is normally your point. You just play devil's advocate, I know, but I'm just saying. This is
I know,
Irwin's
I'm playing
point,
Rumpus. I'm playing Rumpus from 2017 now.
I get it.
Because he was really on top of how this was supposed to work. Remember? Back
Oh,
then?
yeah, absolutely. He had the maths all pegged. They knew our rays bent at 7/6. They had the whole thing figured out. But my kudos is to the fact that Irwin, obviously he's going to be able to do this. It's his description of a paradox, but he can argue the other side really coherently too, even though it's his argument and he's essentially self-defeating it with his devil's advocate position he's taken. But yeah, Irwin's paradox is as follows. You can't measure R to move a horizon with R if you can't see R. So you're not going to move the horizon with terrestrial refraction 7/6R if you can't measure a horizon to derive R in the first instance. It's a paradox.
Yep. You could also, by the way, call it the donkey dick paradox if you want to.
I prefer circumdicular geometry.
Yeah, but the circumdicular geometry is purely about the method of approach, how you bend everything to R. That's separate. That's more like a math method.
We weren't allowed to talk about this on Bullbusters, but our guru's not around at the moment. So yeah, basically, donkey dick
should
geometry.
all datums assume R?
Again, Flatsoid.
So all the datums assume R then?
Yes, they assume tangents. I wasn't going to allow Rumpus to discuss that yesterday when he was defending scientific validity for R. But yeah, that was what he asserted. Geodetic surveying would assume that there's a tangent point. Doesn't matter if they're measuring a lantern or the horizon, it makes no difference. When they're babbling on them saying I can show you the drop, they're describing the drop of the horizon, and they're assuming a tangent point. So they're assuming that the ground beneath them forms a straight line, that's a tangent, to a point that they're measuring in the distance. Now, the reason they assume they're measuring this tangent, straight line, I'll add that again, straight line, straight, is because they need to assume that the ground beneath it is a curved surface. That's why they say it's a tangent to that point in the distance. Like Craig fell victim of, Fight the Flat Earth. Now, if they've got a straight line, a tangent, to the horizon to measure a dip for it, then refraction can't apply. Because refraction is bending that line. And a tangent is straight. That's where the paradox comes in. If they're saying, I'm going to move the horizon with refraction, that means that they're bending the line to the horizon. Well, in geometry, you require a tangent line. That's how they've derived R in the first instance. So this dip they're measuring uses a straight line. That's a tangent. So that they can assume the ground beneath it's curved. So they say, I'm measuring a tangent. I'm assuming the ground beneath it is a curved ground. Begging the question. Just a slick trick. Well, once you've got to the point that they're saying, okay, I've assumed ground beneath us is curved, begging the question we've been pointing out for years, assuming R. Once they've got that straight line to the tangent they've assumed to assume the ground's curved, they need it to be straight. That's what tangents are. So when we say, okay, well, this tangent point's miles away now, that would make Earth massive. They say, oh, no, we don't have a straight line tangent to the horizon. It's bent with refraction, requiring R, coincidentally, and they need the R for the tangent that's straight. So you've got a paradoxical position where they've got a straight line needed to the horizon for geometry, and an assertion that it's bent like a donkey's dick. So you don't have donkey dick tangent lines. Tangents are straight, they need it for geometry. They're saying it's refracted, bent, leaving the argument in tatters. You can't assert geometry without a tangent. They're saying the line to the horizon, their tangent, is bent. Not a tangent anymore. Not geometric anymore. Not globe earth proof anymore. Paradoxically falling on its arse and having us all laugh about it whilst whispering black swan.
Yep, well said. And hey, I might have been the one that had figured out, hey, this is a paradox, but I really figured that out from hearing you explain the whole donkey dick situation, what that really was for at least a few weeks before I actually started to see it in what you were saying. So you really brought forth the arguments. I was just the one to point out, hey, this is actually a paradox, I think.
No, you the man. You the man.
You the man. You the man.
No, you the man.
Arwen.
Let's move on. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Still waiting.
No, definitely not.
Can you show me any gas pressure without a container?
I think you mean pressurized gas. Can you show me pressurized gas without a container?
Nope. You require a container to be able to weigh gas. Haha.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone on the Discord server
all
want to
gas
pipe in
laws
on
require
this?
volume.
Missing my pun. Anyone on the Discord server want to pipe up on this? Am I getting a tumbleweed from my own pun? No? Gas pressure without a container? Moving on. Any evidence of the R value?
Hold on. I wanted to expand a little. Because I've conceived now within the presupposition of Earth being a sphere in an outer space, right? I've conceived that not even a black hole level of gravity, presuming the Newtonian force-based gravity in this case, not trying to figure out how the bending of space-time is supposed to cause displacement, just going with it as a force, thinking of it like it, not even black hole levels of gravity could prevent gas pressure from expanding into an infinite-sized container of vacuum. That's my official statement about it.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. You said it
what's a black
yesterday.
hole?
Nobody gave you any
It's
props.
a theoretical concept stating that gravity is astronomical levels, but not infinite, though.
No,
Not
I
infinite.
totally agree. You just didn't
And
get
the
anybody.
volume would be infinite of the galaxy. So
Yes.
the gas pressure expansion power will always trump any level, any numerical limited levels of gravity.
3 more times,
Always.
maybe. 3 more times, maybe? Yes, that's right, Irwin. You said it yesterday. It's just nobody acknowledged it. Yes, within their reification of sky vacuums, that's absolutely right. And it's akin to, you're not going to overcome entropy with gravity, even if you have it at full effect, and both of them at the same time. It's never going to overcome the free expansion into that infinite expanding volume. And you're correct, Irwin. Even within the reification of space, you're correct.
Yeah.
I'd like to say outer space as a vacuum is fake.
I've been watching this movie called Astronaut Farmer as you guys are talking, and they make it look so real. This guy launched a rocket from his farm and orbited the Earth so beautifully.
Wow.
And then he came back down nice.
Well, if it's from a farmer,
That
it's
is
a
so
corny
awesome,
video.
man.
Hold on. You saying
Yeah, they made it look so real.
Made it look so real. I thought you just said, is it real? Have we got a picture? Have we got a video of orbits? This presupposition that things fall around a spherical Earth. Have we got a video of that?
I want to see that.
They just did it perfectly. I don't see what's the problem. The only problem I see is how you have gas pressure out of container. How is he even going there? So it just goes past a certain point and then that doesn't exist anymore?
So they say, but it's the orbit bit I want to focus on. Are you saying we've got a video of someone flying up into the sky and then actually demonstrating the reification of things falling around a spherical surface?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a true story. Where a farmer launched from his, and he orbited the Earth and came back down. He missed his backyard, but
where is this? Is this like Netflix or just a movie?
Sounds like a parody. It's just Neil's being very vague.
What do you want to know? I'm sorry.
Is it a parody? Is it a joke? Have you actually got a video of someone orbiting a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, it's just a movie.
Wait, Astronaut Farmer? Where is it? Is it like on Netflix or theaters or what?
It's a movie. I don't know. It's on cable. It's the first time I seen it. Billy Bob Thornton.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any real?
Guys,
if there's any real
thank you,
video?
Neil. Thank you for the movie, Neil. Okay, FE News, thank you very much for the super chat. Did you see Thunderfoot debunk life on Venus? No, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
None.
Just on a movie I'm watching.
And what?
God, here we go.
Those are special effects.
Did they even manage to observe the natural phenomena?
In the movie, who
Things
cares?
go falling down, go boom boom, or the lack thereof.
How's that gravity?
Well, that's how you know there's gravity going on, right?
No.
Colloquially.
Bending geodesics in space-time, Owen. 105-year out-of-date mass attracting
But that's
mass.
not observing.
No, but that's what it's supposed to be in physics. But, you know, in the movies, when they're out there in space floating, it's like, oh, hey, it's being pulled to one part. Oh, damn, we're going closer into orbit. The gravity's starting to set in. See, that's so they notice it colloquially through the displacement once again. It's just that the math says it's because of something else.
The funny thing is that when you see the NASA videos of the astronauts in the ISS, they're supposed to be experiencing no gravity force at all, but they got wires on them while they float. So something's off with this production.
Yeah, it's in the second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum. Like, if they got a hole in the ISS, they'd be looking through the hole at Earth beneath them with that gas not filling the space, but they'd be all concerned that the space is somehow going to be a problem for the gas inside the ISS. It's just nonsense. They're not in a sky vacuum. The sky's not a vacuum. The gas we're breathing would be filling it.
Still
Again?
Still wondering if they found that hole. Still wondering if they found that hole that they had.
No, they're not really up in the sky in a tin can in a sky vacuum. That's just all lies, Flatsoid. Any single viable hypothesis? Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Not yet.
So let's be scientific first.
Well, they could still always engage in it, but it doesn't seem like they have prioritized to do something like that anytime soon. They'll just keep on with the blogs and the storytelling traditions and this new iconography of stardom. Literally stardom. Oh,
Sorry to interrupt.
Owen is
It's a fake
mathematical
movie.
equation science.
Say again, Flatsoid.
So is mathematical equations now scientific?
No.
well,
Because that's all they're based on, is mathematical equations.
It's abstract.
The movie I was
my
watching. was
chat
not-
yesterday insisted that math is reality because you can calculate almost everything and predict it, and that means that the math is reality, reifying information and a concept that is basically bound to the consciousness itself, because without the consciousness it would literally do nothing, it would mean nothing. And then they reify it into physical reality anyway, because they just they go so delusional about it. I don't know why.
But this goes back to the ratios. If you change the ratio, you're just going to get a value for that ratio. So it's an infinite amount of possibilities.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Interesting thing, we had an earthquake the other day, yeah?
Is that linked to molten iron core of presupposition? That's right.
We had an earthquake in South Africa 2 days ago.
All right.
Okay, yeah, I heard that. And
More real than an iron core.
you think that's
Really?
caused by a molten iron core, do you? Even in their rhetoric, it's not the case.
Yeah, it's tectonic plates. So are you close to an edge of a tectonic plate over there, or
Have
not
you
so
validated
much?
validated tectonic plates, have you, Irwin?
Not just.
I was just gonna ask,
Whether
is
you
that true,
conceive of them? No, but look, there is like these regions where there is more friction, where it does collide. Why it collides, whether it is plates hovering on a molten sea of lava and iron, all that, that's something else. It could be pillars, but that there are these seeming edges where more earthquakes, more friction and shit happens. So
Are there?
Hmm?
Are
Yeah.
there? I've
I'm
seen
pretty sure
pictures.
there are.
Okay, I've seen fault lines. I've seen what
Yeah,
they've claimed that
right.
these trenches are, and you're saying that's plates, is it?
No. Calling it plates is just one way to conceive of it. I just said that. Whether you
Okay.
plates or pillars or whatever it is, there are these edges. You call them fault lines. Okay, I guess that is a better word for it.
No. A fault line's just a line. It's not. You're associating that line as being an edge of two different continents pressing against each other like plates. That's their rhetoric, and I'm saying, okay, yeah, I know that there's things on the surface that are called fault lines. Yeah, I've
Right.
researched the Ring of Fire. Yeah, okay, I understand all those things exist. Does that mean
Right.
that we're on tectonic plates?
No?
Okay, great. That's the end of that conversation.
That's what you do this every time, like I'm a bowler, but you seem to overlook that I already defaulted on that in the intro. And you do it anyway, though, because you wanna. Because the ballers always fall for that shit.
It's nothing to do with ballers, just any old crappy claim. I don't care who it's coming from or what their position is in terms of the shape of the Earth. You want to claim there's tectonic activity. As far as I'm concerned, it has absolutely no bearing on this discussion whatsoever. But just actually prove that's the case, rather than just saying, well, no, we have tectonic plates. These fault lines are the edges. Ring of Fire, that's where they're all... Okay, that's proof, is it? Not to me, it isn't.
No, I just brought it up because
You just take
that's how I started about it.
It's your fault, Flatsoid.
Earthquakes. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
my fault.
Sorry, I should have brought the knife and fork with.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics before we move on?
No.
We've
No.
already answered that.
No,
Any
not
evidence
yet. Probably
We've
not
already-
ever.
We've already answered that.
Yeah, I was just covering. That was the last question before I move on to the next one. So, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curvature?
Not even if you're logically synthetic.
Just look at the horizon.
Thank you.
Say again, Rumpus?
Things disappear from the bottom up of the horizon, so obviously that's evidence of something being in the way. So that's evidence of the Earth curve. There you go, sorted.
So you're saying the horizon's Earth curve. So you're saying the horizon's a physical geometric sphere edge obstruction.
Allowing for refraction, yep.
Sorry, you're saying it's a physical geometric sphere edge obstruction.
There is a physical thing at a certain place which is affected by refraction, but yes, there is a physical obstruction caused by the curve of the Earth, yes.
No, debunk that. We've debunked it as a physical edge. The horizon's not a physical edge. There's this piece of evidence called the Black Swan. Is it time to fundy mute me already?
That's refraction.
It's time to fundy mute me already, isn't it? Scared.
Looming.
Coward. Scared.
You're doing this looming.
Let's try again. Let's see how long it takes me. He's scared of the Black Swan, ladies and gentlemen. He's fundy muting me already. Trying to challenge his claim that we... No, it's for constant fundy muting. He's definitely scared of the Black Swan.
I love the Black Swan.
No, he's definitely scared. I'm not going to get to assert the argument in defence of his claim. So you're claiming a physical geometric sphere edge horizon with refraction, according to your claim.
Yep.
And I'm saying, fundy mute, go on. Get it all out, coward.
No, I was letting you carry on. I was agreeing with you.
No, well, I'm going to try and assert the argument, whether you like it or not. We'll see how long it takes him to not fundy mute every word of the Black Swan argument that he's scared of.
Providing you let me give him an answer.
I haven't asserted it yet. We're just getting further and further away from that pummeling. The pummeling that... No, he's going to constantly fundy mute me, isn't he? My own panel, Irwin. I'm going to say this once to my own panel. I don't want this constantly interrupted by my own side. I'm going to attempt to give a rendition of the Black Swan in challenge to Rumpus's assertion that the horizon's an edge for boats to go over and be blocked by. So the globe heads claimed the horizon's a physical edge and boats are going over it. Anyway, we've debunked that with this thing called the Black Swan. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every distance to horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. The distance to the horizon in the Black Swan is in excess of 10 miles, and the geometry would leave it at 1.2, debunking the assertion that we have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. The Black Swan's debunked it. The horizon's not physical.
Include refraction. That formula you've just given does not include refraction.
And fraction in your globe model is 7/6 of the radius, and that would require an acquisition of a tangent point horizon.
Yeah, curves. Yeah, like curves, and you have tangents can turn into curves. Yeah.
Sorry, tangents can turn into curves. That's a violation of the law of non-contradiction, you complete clown. A tangent, by definition, is not curved.
At the point of contact, it's not curved, but then it can be...
So it's not curved. So tangents can't become curves. Yet your refraction is a curved line that is based on a measurement of a tangent. And according to you, the line's bent. If it's bent, you haven't got a tangent.
Curves have tangents, and so the
curves have tangents, and tangents are straight. The fact that you assume that the curve is beneath your feet and the horizon's a tangent point means you need a straight line. And you're saying that line is bent with a value that requires the R to be measured with a tangent. This is a paradox, Rumpus.
Presumably you won't let me draw your diagram, presumably. You won't be interested in that.
Right, you're assuming that we've got a tangent point, but it can't be straight because it's bent, according to you.
A tangent.
Yeah, tangent's straight, and you're saying, no, you don't understand that the line I need to be straight for geometry is actually bent. If it's bent, it's not a tangent.
A curve can touch another curve at a tangent.
Yeah, and a tangent's still straight, even if you've got two curves joining with tangent points. Yeah, lots of the fundies send me that in the comments about how you can have two tangent points with two curves intersecting. That's right, but they've both still got tangents to them. And a tangent is not bent. A tangent isn't a refracted with an R value that needs a tangent. The tangent itself is straight.
Nathan,
you fundy muting me? Is he fundy muting me? I just need to ascertain with Discord. Does he need kicking out?
Nathan,
is his time arguing ended and is listening to me time ended also? Is he just ignoring me from this point on? Is it fundy mute time so he doesn't have to listen to me? He doesn't want to listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. He wants to talk through every word I say. He doesn't want to listen to the pummeling. The black swan destroys his argument, so he's got to not listen. He doesn't need to respond to anything I say. He just needs to talk through every word so he can ignore it. We're at that demolition point, ladies and gentlemen. That's why there's constant interruption. I don't mind slowing things right down just for you. Tangents are always straight, and their geometry's got a tangent point in the form of a physical horizon, an edge for boats to go over. Now that tangent, whether they like it or not, must be straight, because that's what a tangent is. When we point out that their tangent point to a horizon's miles in the distance, they say, oh, well, no, the line to it's bent. No longer a tangent, leaving their argument in a paradox. Unfortunately for Rumpus, he doesn't want to listen to a word of this, so he's constantly talked through this so that he doesn't have to address it in any way, shape or form.
Sir, Scaredy Cat won't let me...
See? Scaredy Cat. So what he's done while I was coherently describing the fact that a tangent's always straight and Rumpus needs it to be bent to overcome the black swan argument, all he's got is to not listen to me and call me a scaredy cat over and over again from Discord, so he doesn't have to address this end point. He's lost. He's saying the tangent's bent. That's a paradox. That's a nonsense. Tangents aren't bent. His line to the horizon needs to be bent and is therefore no longer a tangent. It's where he reaches the end of his argument. But he's going to call me scaredy cat rather than listen, because he's an abject coward.
Won't let me answer.
See, saying you won't let me answer over and over again rather than listening to the facts. Facts. Tangents are straight.
So here we go, Nathan. Imagine two balls touching one.
So he's ignoring me. Tangents are straight.
Yeah, I'm about to point that out, Nathan. If you just listen, I'm going...
So you can't have a bent line to the horizon then, and then still have a tangent. So if you're going to point out that tangents are straight...
I'm going to deal with that exact point. If you have two balls touching, which both have curved surfaces, at the point of contact, they are both at one another's tangent.
So a tangent's straight. So they're both of these curved lines that are intersecting with this carefully constructed obfuscation. They've both got tangents. And those tangents are both straight, not bent, right?
At the point of contact, indeed, the tangents are straight.
And those tangents are straight.
So...
And he's ignoring me. Maybe call me scaredy cat. Maybe say you're not getting a chance to speak. Maybe obfuscate this 20 minutes down the line and then I'll just repeat it again. The tangents to these two curves are straight, aren't they?
So I didn't hear that because you keep...
Yes, because you talk constantly. Scaredy cat, Rumpus needs to talk because he's afraid of my rebuttal. Yeah, you've got two tangent points now. And both tangent points for both circles are straight. It's still talking through me, isn't he, audience? Doesn't need to listen to this. Needs to distract from the point. That's the same point he's convoluted from the start.
Dealing with exact points.
Hey, he's talking through me, Rumpus. You're not listening to my point. Tangents are always going to be straight. And the line to the tangent point in your globe model, that's the horizon you're claiming, is a edge for boats to go over. That's a tangent point in your geometric model. Tangents are always straight. You've now introduced two circles that intersect and said they can both have tangent points. Yeah, well, tangent points are the point that straight lines meet them.
Scaredy cat.
See? Scaredy cat. He's not going to ever address the fact that in his new example with two circles, they've both got tangent points. And tangent points are the point that those two circles have got straight lines meeting them.
I imagine a curve, Nathan.
Yeah, he's just ignoring me, isn't he? What a coward. So how many times am I going to have to point out that his new example still has tangent points, and tangent points are points where straight lines meet them?
Yes, that's correct, Nathan.
Yeah! Now tell me how my balls taste. So these tangents are still straight. So that bent line to the horizon wouldn't be a geometric tangent line now, would it? Yeah, scaredy cat. Yeah. Yeah, this is where I pummel him. Yeah? So he's made a little convoluted example with 2 circles, and they've both still got straight lines to them. So they still need tangent lines to be straight, but yet their line to the horizon suddenly bent and not a tangent line anymore. But that's going to require Rumpus to say scaredy cat, while I destroy the globe religion.
So 2 curves can meet one another at a tangent.
And a tangent straight, not bent like your line to the horizon.
It's only the point of contact, Nathan.
And it's straight.
There's still be a curve. It only has to be a tangent.
A tangent straight, though. And your line to the horizon's not that. It's bent!
Curve. So 2 curves can meet at a tangent.
And a tangent straight. That's a straight line to a point on those curves, right? Yeah, you've already conceded that. Maybe repeat it 16 more times, having failed to convolute the fact that the line to the horizon, which is your claimed tangent point, still needs to be straight because it's still a tangent, even if you introduce 2 circles to try and confuse people. They've still got 2 tangent points, or 1 tangent point if they intersect with each other, those curves with straight line meeting them at the same point. So that's a straight line.
When you a little step more, the curves can meet one another at a tangent.
Yeah, and a tangent straight line. And you don't have one if that line to the horizon's bent. It's no longer a straight line, therefore no longer a tangent. Bye globe geometry. Geometry needs tangents.
A tangent.
Yeah, it needs a straight line. And you're saying the horizon has got a bent line to it. Refracted, right? That means deviated from straight. The very antithesis of a tangent. Now, you've tried to obfuscate that point by bringing in a new example with 2 circles. Oh, well, you assume Earth's 1 circle, and it's got a straight line to it. What's that you say? The line isn't straight, it's bent with R? Oh, well, R needs a straight line to it. Maybe keep telling me about this new example with 2 circles, ignoring the fact that it hasn't changed the fact that you need a straight line to the horizon for it to have geometry.
Well, a tangent, Nathan. That's 2 curved things touching one another at a tangent.
And a tangent straight. That's a straight line meeting those 2 circles that touch one another. So you still got a straight line to those 2 circles that meet, even though Earth isn't 2 circles meeting. Earth's not butted up to the moon and you're measuring 2 tangents, now are you? You're assuming Earth's 1 with 1 straight line to the horizon that you think's a physical obstruction to boats. You think boats go over the edge. Wow, what a complete clown. You only think boats go over the edge because you've got the horizon as a physical tangent point. And yet the line to it's bent, and you're justifying it by saying if you've got 2 circles, they've both got tangent lines that are straight to them. That's not going to fly. You've got a bent line to this horizon now, so bye-bye geometry. I haven't got tangent anymore.
A straight line gradient at the point of contact with a curve.
Oh, so it's a straight line that meets the curve. So why is it being bent with refraction?
Do you understand what a tangent is, Nathan?
Yeah, straight line to a curve. You've got an assumed Earth curve, that's why you use a tangent, and a straight line meeting it. Is the line to the horizon straight now, or is it still refracted and bent?
And now you can have 2 curves touching.
And now he's talking about his 2 circles again. So I've asked him a direct question with a pause. He definitely heard me. I asked him if the line to the horizon's straight, a tangent now, or is it still bent with refraction, Rumpus?
Oh, it's bent. Nathan.
Mumble.
No, I said, well, you turn me down or something because you should be able to hear me. It's bent.
Oh, well, it's not a tangent then. Oh, even in your 2 examples with circles meeting, you've still got a straight line meeting them.
But they're 2 curved objects, Nathan.
No, we're talking about the Earth and a horizon that's got a straight line to it that's bent now. So you don't have a tangent to the horizon then?
No, you don't have a tangent to the horizon.
You don't have a tangent to the horizon, ladies and gentlemen. That's where I'm done with Rumpus. Thank you very much. Let's just make the implication of Rumpus's last statement absolutely clear to the audience. You don't have a tangent to the horizon. Now, Al-Biruni is claimed to have measured a tangent to the horizon. Yesterday, Rumpus told me that he could measure the drop from a tangent to the horizon. Yet he's just made it clear. You don't have a tangent to the horizon. So Mick West's curve calculator that very specifically draws a tangent to a presupposed tangent point on a curved surface, you don't have that. You need a tangent to do geometry. And yet Rumpus has just made it plain. You don't have a tangent to the horizon. The horizon's not a physical geometric sphere edge. You can't draw a tangent to it. Boats aren't going over an edge, globe believers. It's not being blocked by an assumption of a straight line to it, because you don't have one. It's bent, and you can't draw a straight line to it. So you can't do geometry to assert Earth has geometry. Earth isn't a sphere.
And don't forget it's singular.
Yeah, we're not talking about two intersecting circles so they can obfuscate it and say, oh yeah, we can have lines meeting other lines that are bent. These two circles meet each other and they're bent at the tangent point where they meet, and they're bent. So we can have bent tangents. No, tangent's still straight. Still meeting those two circles now. But that was clever, wasn't it, Rumpus? Oh no, it wasn't at all clever. It didn't get past me in the slightest. No, you introducing a second circle that's bent and meeting at the tangent point doesn't change that a tangent point is a point where both those circles have a straight line to them. And yet, Rumpus declares you haven't got a straight line to a presupposed Earth horizon tangent. Uh-oh. Dead globe model. Bye-bye. That needed lots of fundy muting because you haven't got a tangent, a straight line for your geometry. You need one. That's what your Earth model's based on. But you haven't got one, Rumpus makes it clear. So you better be damn sure you fundy mute me every time I ask you if a straight line's straight, and therefore a tangent, when you're telling me how bent it is with refraction. It's a true pleasure being a flat earther in 2020.
It's really sad. It's really sad how he reasons.
Last but by no means least, any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Absolutely not.
No,
Actually,
because
not.
balloons float in the same place.
But yet it's claimed that we're on a turning Earth, and anything that's not attached, like a football or a bullet, seems to drift because we're turning underneath it. You know, and therefore, obviously, I'll nod my head up to the sky, see a plane, and it seems to turn because I'm turning underneath it. It's not actually the thing turning I am. I'm claimed to turn underneath it with a globe Earth claim that's spinning. So that's two reference frames. Me underneath bullets that seem to drift, and me under balls that seem to drift, and me under aeroplanes that seem to drift because they're not attached. Oh dear, that would shorten a flight time when travelling west. And what do you know? We don't have shortened flight times travelling west with Earth turning underneath a plane with me seeing it seem to drift. Like his claim with footballs and bullets, Earth isn't turning.
We do see the sun change, Partha.
Yeah, doesn't prove we're moving underneath it.
Hey, Nathan, can you post the two Andrew Thomas Young pages in Master B I put up, please?
Sure, they're up now.
So Rumpus has in the past said that he's conversed with Andrew Thomas Young. Here's Andrew Thomas Young saying, with refraction and without refraction, what it should be. 1.22 without, this is where Earth has no atmosphere. It's 1.22 miles out. But with refraction, with the atmosphere, it's 1.32 miles out. Yet the black swan is well over 10 miles out. It doesn't matter which way they go. Refraction, no refraction, can see it, not see it. It's dead.
Yeah, where what it is in his description is an assumption that the horizon's an edge for boats to go over, a tangent point. He's drawn it with his dotted line. This is his straight line to a curve. That's called a tangent. Rumpus has just made it really clear we don't have this. We don't have a straight line to the horizon. We don't have that. leaving this model in tatters.
Game is over. The game is over.
Did you want to add something else?
Yeah, I want to learn about this
Hold on.
curved geometry. Like, how do you do geometry with everything curved lines and all that? I want to learn about that discipline.
They do this, Irwin. It's on screen. It's on screen. They assume a tangent point that they can't see, can't drive, and that's just been confirmed by Rumpus. It can't be seen. That's the dotted line. But then they add this donkey dick curved line that isn't a tangent to their geometry. Obviously, they still need the dotted line. That's why it's depicted here, even though it can't be seen. So you can't see this dotted line, and yet the curved line is based on R. The bit they need the dotted line for. Leaving the model in a paradox. How are you going to bend the line with R if you can't get the dotted line because you can't see it to give you R? Oh dear, that's where it dies. Send in Rumpus to Fundy mute that point indefinitely and tell you that if you've got two circles meeting, they've both got dotted lines we can't see. Therefore, you can have a bent line. No, tangents are still straight, but they need to Fundy obfuscate that because they've still got tangents in their geometry that they can't see. So where are you going to get R? If you can't see this dotted line, how'd you get the R that's attached to it to give you the bent value with R? Oh, you can't, can you? It would be Irwin's paradox. Thanks courtesy to Quantum Erasers Black Swan. Death of the Globe 2020, January 1st. It's all over, fundies. You don't have to like it.
They can't prove it anymore. The only thing left for them to do with it is to just assume R. And that's what they're doing.
You can't have a refracted horizon, Tent.
Yeah, but even if you give them a refraction, it's still not enough.
No, you're not giving it to them.
Claiming.
No, you're not giving it to them. You can't have a refracted horizon. What do you need for a refracted horizon?
Radius in their instance. Radius.
Yeah, there is no. Even if you give them the refraction to the. Oh no. That's double speak, right? Because you need the radius to calculate refraction. You have another problem too. You have to curve that atmosphere. Atmosphere is a contradiction in terms. One, because atmo means air or gas. Sphere is a shape. Gases have no inherent shape. So that's two begging the question fallacies, right? So when he writes in his little bullshit about the distance to the geometric horizon is this, and along with refraction is this, that's horse shit. So don't post that anymore.
Well, that's why I posted it, because it is crap. That's why I posted.
Yeah, make sure you tell people that horizon is not refracted. Not only you can't get a tangent, right? Because what does he say about dip, including refraction? It's in Master B, right below your drawings. Why don't you post that? Let's talk about
you
that.
have dip
Why you post that? Hold on,
I mentioned it in my show this morning.
Just hold on. Before you plug your shows, God, guys. 10th one's going to dig that out, and I'm going to shout out Alexander, who he's got a request I can't fulfill. I hate that. He says, I would like to buy a geometrical horizon. Where can I find it? Oh, that's the only one I can't sell you. Any other imaginary horizon, I can just invent one. The not actual, non-physical, non-geometric horizon, I can invent that. The donkey dick horizon, the chocolate Saiyan horizon, the terrestrial refraction-induced celestial horizon, you name it, man, I can give you anything you like. Geometrical, we don't see the geometric horizon.
How about the celestial horizon?
No worries, $10. Cha-ching.
And the black swan gets better every day, doesn't it?
Well, that's why I posted it, because the black swan destroys both arguments, even if you go to the refracted or the non-refracted. It both crap.
No, you don't go to the refracted.
Dude, I can point. Sorry.
No, I know there is no refracted. That's my point.
Yeah, so don't go to it. Even if you said it's bullshit.
Yeah, no, I know, but when you're talking to somebody and they say it, I'm going to dismantle it.
and
It's
they
not
say
just
it.
a one. It's not just a one thing statement. It takes a few minutes. Then they realize they can't use it again because both don't work because you don't have R.
You don't have both. That's the problem.
That's it. You don't have both. That's right.
That's right.
No, that's the whole
Don't bring
point.
it up. Dip, including refraction. Do we got that on?
You can't presuppose something in order
Thank
to.
Irwin. Do we got that on screen yet?
Hang on. Why wouldn't I bring up both if I could refute both?
Well, go ahead. Did somebody bring up dip, including refraction?
On the next slide, on the.
Yeah, I said, how can you have dip with a
Is refraction some kind of sauce?
You're all talking over each other.
Dip sauce?
Arwin, can you not hear him? Can you not hear? Go ahead, Flatsoid.
I said, how can you have dip with a refraction?
Can't. The dip angle
That's what he
measurement is
titled
to.
it as. Is it up?
The dip angle measurement is to a physical geometric point, a tangent point. That's what the dip is. That's their dip angle measurement. It's their dotted line. That's your dip angle measurement. Right there. There it is. Yeah? If this was Al-Biruni, there's him up the mountain. There's him deriving his geometric tangent point and measuring and deriving with his maths. That's it. That's what he's got. He's seeing a physical geometric sphere edge horizon when he measures it to give him R. Now we're told we don't see R. We don't see a geometric tangent point. We can't do geometry. The point QE's making to 10th Man is you're giving it them and saying, well, even if they derive R they can't measure and then move the horizon to a fraction of a degree when they've derived R that they can't get, that wouldn't work either because the black swan's beyond it. Well, you're begging the question on their behalf.
No, it all depends what kind of conversation you're having, where you dismantle every bit of their argument to get back that
Wrong.
Can I finish?
No.
Well, then forget it. If you're going to be this rude,
Don't bring it up.
Going to be
That's the
this
point.
rude,
It doesn't depend on the argument. Don't bring it up. You don't need to.
You
Part
argue
of-
the way. Excuse me. You can argue the way you want. I'm going to argue
Excuse
the
me.
way I
Just
want.
start dip, including refraction up on screen.
Well, since you won't let me
Where's
finish,
it? Hold
why
on.
should I even?
10th.
You already finished 5 times. I already told you don't do it.
10th
You're
QE.
not my teacher.
Have you posted this 10th?
Did I say I was your fucking teacher?
You're acting like it.
Don't bring it up. I'm going to
I'll
pound
bring it up.
every
Guys,
time you do.
I'll
be gentle
bring
with
up
one
what
Oh,
another.
here we
I'll
go.
bring up.
Get up yet?
Come on.
I'll bring up what I
Calm
want to
down
bring
now.
up in
Okay,
context.
okay.
You're not listening to what QE is saying.
I'm listening exactly. He's not listening to me.
For fuck's sake.
I've got dip of the horizon up, if that's what you wanted.
So, dip including refraction from Andrew Thomas Young. Listen closely. So far, we have ignored refraction and drawn the line of sight to the apparent horizon as the straight line, OG. But in the real world, there is some terrestrial refraction between the observer and the horizon. The line of sight to the apparent horizon is not straight, but curved. So let's try to allow for that curvature. That means no tangent, baby. Thank you very much.
Before anyone jumps in,
Totally agree with you.
just before anyone jumps in, I just want to point out how the doublespeak works in that first sentence. So, in the first sentence, he describes having, where is it? And drawn the line of sight to the apparent horizon as the straight line OG. I'm just going to break that down. So he's saying this line from O to G, the dotted line, has a, quote, line of sight. I can actually highlight it. Line of sight. So he's saying you can see it. That's what this dotted line means. But then he tells you that the line that we actually see, hold on, haven't we already got line of sight to the one with the dotted line? So he's simultaneously telling you you've got line of sight to it, meaning you can see it, and then telling you that you can't see it. It's this line. So it's a complete contradiction. Either you've got line of sight to a geometric tangent point that blocks boats and buildings, or you haven't. Well, he says you have, but then says you haven't. So it's total nonsense.
Agreed. That's what I point out when I have a full discussion and not get interrupted.
Okay.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Come
Now,
on,
the
no
important part. The no
running
tangent.
out of fucks. It's live broadcast. Running out of fucks.
John, you're basically stating the same thing as 10th Man is, but in your vernacular. In
No,
your
I'm not.
straightforward way.
There is no refracted horizon because of the 2 points I just brought up.
No.
Arwin.
Okay. Now let's move on to the line of sight to the apparent horizon is not straight, but curved. He's now telling you that the OG line is not straight, but curved. It's a curved tangent. That's a paradox.
Yep.
That's what Nathan's been saying all morning. The rumpus. No tangent, baby. Get it?
But
Yes.
you can think of it as a tangent, but it's not.
Maybe.
Anyone want to add anything?
Yeah, I need breakfast. See you in a
Yeah,
bit.
you do.
While QE gets breakfast, I'm going to say first and foremost, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Yeah, eat your damn breakfast before you come on, you grouch.
Yeah.
Quantum Eraser is ace.
I'm gonna call him Grumpus. If he keeps this up.
Appeal to tone.
It's a good one.
He's right? They don't have a radius, so they can't derive a second horizon with a bent tangent. It can't be done, so why highlight it? That's his point. It doesn't matter about his tone. Who cares about his tone?
But we're all
agree.
saying
You
the
wanted the
same
argument.
thing. We were basically highlighting what are they doing, why can't it be, and then even through a mathematical route, how is it a paradox? And John basically highlighted that from his typical vantage point of how he explains things. It's pretty much the same thing, and then pointed the paradox at just the non-straight tangent. Because that is like a mathematical, that's a mathematical incorrect way of going about it and all that. So yeah, we were all saying the same thing from different angles. But John should have his breakfast first, because if he doesn't, then he gets, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong.
You're just drawing correlations there. There's no causal link been proven.
Oh yeah, I can definitely scientifically prove that if John doesn't have breakfast, he turns into Grumpus.
Why has this suddenly turned into a personal attack on QE? Yeah, he said the F word a few times.
What? Personal attack? This is just character. This is character. I have my own issues. No?
Okay, can we give up on the character assassination then?
It's not assassination. It's just highlighting.
Hold on, someone else wants
You
to
can be a dick too, Nathan.
Yes, I can be a dick too. Thank you.
Yes, but I love it anyway.
I think Mole Man. Is it Mole Man? Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just said fuck. Since
You broke
we were
up.
talking about the subject.
You broke up. I'm really sorry. Can you say it again?
Fuck, that's what I said, because we were talking about that subject.
Maybe it's the accent. I don't know. Did anyone else catch what he
He's
said?
saying the F word twice.
Saying the F bomb.
Oh, he's just
Yeah.
saying the F word with an accent. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Oh, maybe I'll get
Yeah.
you to repeat it 6 more times.
It's like Johnny Dangerously. You forking asshole.
I mean, I can keep saying it, but
No, you
it
don't
makes
need
no
to keep
sense.
saying it.
Yeah.
See, these people who quote Andrew Thomas Young, they hold him up in high esteem. I like to peel Andrew Thomas Young like an onion, one layer at a time, until everything he says is devoid of facts.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I understand what QE's saying. Why give them anything? Don't give them
That's
nothing.
That's his style. My style is this
Right,
way.
everybody has their own style.
At the end, we both say the same thing.
Yeah, like the guys that argue about rockets and space and fuel and everything. When if you can't have gas pressure out of a container, yeah, let's argue for 3 hours about that.
Well, this doesn't go 3 hours. I kill it real quick.
Well, not as quick as John would.
Well, like, do I ever come and say your style is wrong? Shut the blank up. No, I never do that because everyone's their own man. But why does he think he has to do that to me?
Right. So you just take a long time and be very boring. Now.
What's going on?
No, I don't take a long time.
This is just, come on, guys, have some fun. Come on.
I don't take a long
Not
time.
the end of the world here, for fuck's sake.
Check it out. Alwyn gives a real jab, and then it's like, lighten up, who cares? I've just given you a real jab in the ribs, so let's just lighten up.
I got plenty on Andrew Thomas Young. I'm only just beginning.
No,
yeah,
that's fair
because
enough.
Owen's really quick.
Look, I'm with you, 10th. Like, you know, QE's got his style, you've got your style, you're saying you want to beg the question. Sometimes it used to, if I take it to a different example, so back in the day when people are like, this is how much we should see, and we see further that, it's like, why are you begging the question for them? Why are you even introducing what the calculator says we should or shouldn't see and phrasing it that way? And they go, no, you've got your style. I want to beg the question and assume a sphere and then tell my audience how much they should or shouldn't see on that sphere. That's just my style. And I'd be like, no, well, that's just wrong. And then
But that's not...
I know it's a different example.
But that's not what I'm saying.
I know it's not. I know it's a different example. It's just to take it away from this specific example. So I'm not saying if you beg the question of the radius to derive refraction to move it, you can then debunk it. It's like, yeah, if you say the Earth curves in the way at this distance on the model and it's not in your picture, therefore you can debunk it. It's just a parallel.
No, that's what, hang on. Let me see if I could say it and see if what you said, I got lost in what you were saying, so maybe I missed it. I tell them right off, you're wrong, you're begging the question. I'm going to dismantle every part of it. You want to go? So I'm telling them everything is begging the question. I'm not begging the question. I'm highlighting that they're begging the question.
I see that side of it too. I get it.
Well, that's my style because I want to take piece by piece their foundation away. Not, you don't understand. I don't want you don't understand. He killed me on this point. He killed me with refraction. He killed me without refraction. He says that it's impossible because we're not. See, Al-Biruni was presupposing a sphere when he went up on that mountain. Right there, it's over.
Right.
Yeah,
and what I typically like to do is beg the question and not beg the question. Basically go through the entire thing from every angle, even deep into their presuppositional mechanics, and then dismantle it from there on. And then when I finish dismantling it from within their paradigm, I step outside of it and then explain how the entire paradigm also collapses in on itself.
Okay, no.
That's what I like to do.
I know you do, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but I'm still saying generally, no. So there's a big difference between... Hold on. There's a big difference between presenting a conditional statement that you later debunk versus begging the question on your opponent's behalf. They're subtly different, but the implications are massive.
Right. You're correct. I definitely don't tend to not do this when QE is present because he doesn't like it.
I don't like it either. You're normally ganging up on me doing it. It's only because I tolerate it.
Oh, I thought you liked it.
When I'm yelling it at a globe head, don't beg the question here. You think when you're doing it on their behalf that I just somehow love it then?
Well, I am doing it in a way to also make fun of it, you know? I'm just mocking it by basically emulating it and showing that I've mastered this, even though I don't believe it. And thereby understanding it better than they do. So
that's the bad bit for me.
Basically.
The bad bit for me, right, is Because you guys on my panel, if you will, no disrespect, you guys know the arguments better than any glober, which means that when you play devil's advocate, I've got to be 100% on my game to be able to pick it apart in the convoluted, clever way that you put it together for joking effect. Because you know the argument so well. Well, what do you think that is? That means I've got to be right on point with probably the best proponent of the argument to unpick it. That's you. You're better than they are at arguing their points because you know them better than they do.
Right, and with that, we also help you train. So we're actually the knife sharpeners.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Against them.
Yeah, I didn't want a rubber ring putting around me and sending up a mountain like bloody Rocky. I don't need a montage of 1,000 clips where I'm put on them. I'm well trained already. I'm good. No, you are right. It does keep me on my toes, but more so than the fundies do. All they have is obfuscation and fundy muting, as opposed to being able to actually coherently formulate their argument into a way that might seem plausible. They just obfuscate the demolition when they make it less plausible and easy to pick apart by me. You guys don't necessarily do that. You'll phrase it in a manner that's needing careful picking apart.
It's interesting. This happened today because yesterday I was commenting on the chat feed with Cleary, and this guy comes on and says, "10th man, you're Nathan's puppet. All you do is take over. He controls you." Does today's show sound like I'm being controlled by QE or Nathan?
Yes.
Today's show, definitely not, given the row at the end of the live show.
Well, no show, because I'm my own man and you're your own man. And when we have statements and arguments that we both agree on, what am I supposed to do? Not agree with you when I agree with you? That doesn't mean I'm under your control.
Just an ad hom. Pathetic. Did you say this came from our own side?
What's that?
Did I hear you say this came from our own side?
No. I was on the chat feed last night. Cleary ran a rebroadcast when Dawn was being interviewed on the Emma show, and Anthony Riley was just pummeling him. And so I was commenting, and he came in, Debate Flat Earth or something is his name, and he made all these accusations. And I'm saying, doesn't he listen to our show? We all argue our own way. It's like nonsense. But like you said, it's ad hoc.
Indeed.
Can I ask a quick question?
Who to? Or is it general?
It was in reference to what you said earlier about you begging the question for us.
Yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't the Black Swan basically do that?
No, it's a conditional statement.
Ah, okay.
That's what I was trying to illustrate to 10th and Irwin. There's a very subtle difference between begging the question on their behalf, which is assuming the outcome that they're trying to prove. In this instance with the donkey dick tangent point, assuming they've got a physical tangent point to derive R, to give them 7/6R to move the horizon. Well, that's begging the question on their behalf that they can derive R to move it. I don't know who's feeding back. Is it you, Molman? Whereas a conditional statement is formulation of modus tollens. The P statement's a conditional statement. If Earth is a sphere, then every distance to horizon will be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So your Q statement is your premise that's based on your conditional statement of P, but in modus tollens you're then going to rip it to shreds by showing that the conditional statement is violated with the image of the black swan showing that you haven't got a distance to horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as must be the case laid down in the conditional statement that's being debunked. So it's not begging the question, it's a conditional statement.
Yeah, it's the it's different. So good.
They do, I was going to say they, it's you as well, but they do throw it back at us. Well, the P statement's begging the question, but bearing in mind when they say that, they're telling us that the P statement, basically a globe religion declaration, if the Earth is a sphere, they tell us that P is begging the question. That's what we get as a response. In other words, the fundy, the globe believer, says to me, if Earth's a sphere, it's just begging the question. And they're saying it like it's a rebuttal.
Yep. They did try to switch the roles on us. Like in the back and forth, they basically do like that. What is it? The old comedy trick, which they did in like the Three Stooges, probably too, and Laurel and Hardy. Just yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, no. Wait, I mean yes. They try to do that switch on us. Yeah,
it's in Ali G. East side is the best. West side is the best. East side is the best. East side is the best. West side is the best. Ha 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 ha! I got you to say West side is the best.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny too.
Yeah, they like to take our argument and throw it back to us. For example, satellites in an orbit are an antecedent for satellite TV. Well, what about cable? Well, that's not satellite TV.
Yeah. I actually thought that was kind of funny. But dragged on too long with that.
It's a clown show. With the exception of the row at the end of the live show, this has been a really good show. Like, one of the best shows in ages, actually.
What was wrong with the row?
I don't know. Too many F words, too much aggression.
Well, I agree about
a bunch of dirty laundry. We'll clean it up again.
True.
Yeah, I agree with the language, but the row wasn't bad.
I like the way Rumpus has displayed himself the last 2 days.
Say again, Mo Man?
I didn't catch the live show. I just joined in. What happened in live show?
Well, I can't believe you just said that, because your question was absolutely on point with what happened at the end of the live show. So QE saying, no, don't, essentially, why are you giving them this R value to move the horizon to a not actual location that's visible, when that involves them having an R value that they can't derive? You're giving it to them unnecessarily. There's no point in arguing beyond the presupposition when they've moved the horizon with R. And that's what 10th man's doing. And he's saying, well, I'm justifying it because I'm showing that they moved the horizon with R in this document, but they can't do that because they haven't got R to move it. And QE's saying, well, why even bother bringing it up? That's where the argument begins, because QE's argument, which I agree with, I hate to side with QE because 10th's such a nice guy, but so why beg the question for them?
Drama.
No, it's necessary. It's a different way of arguing it, and 10th's not wrong. Especially as if he's got the chance, he will demolish it. There's just a danger that you get Fundy muted for the next 10 minutes and it's just left out there as a begging the question fallacy for them to cling on to indefinitely. If he gets rumpused or, anything happens on that processed path to debunking something is asserted first. QE saying, why assert it first? There's no need to beg the question for them.
Well, my audience is not trolls. My audience is normies. And with normies, I have no problem. They let me finish. Trolls are different.
So it depends on who you're speaking to, Act.
Right. If I'm with a troll, I say you ain't got R. It's over right there with a troll.
Say again, more man.
It's just a troll then. Yeah, who were the ballers in the live show?
Rumpus.
Ah.
And he showed himself silly the past few days, I must say.
Yeah, he came into White Knight for Simon Dan because there's been an embarrassing turn of events where Simon Dan's declaring no drift quite overtly. And he's obviously got to defend that notion, get to the point where he's obfuscated the no drift problem, no 15 degrees an hour deviation problem, Simon Dan flying in the face of that problem, and get to the point where he begs the question of the two turning together, giving them no drift also, to justify it. But instead, there was just, 5 or 6 panel members all wanting to be on his back, tearing shreds off him. That's what happened. As he talks about how there's no drift, how there is drift. Well, he's not showing drift. Well, there isn't drift. Well, there is drift. Well, Bob showed drift, but there isn't drift. That's how it went. So that was embarrassing. After that, it was then on to Rumpus. You claimed there was science. You said the whole body of science proved radius. So then we went around that with him telling us that maths is science and that a phenomena is square. A square is something happening. Embarrassing, basically. So he had to come back in today to hopefully redeem himself, and he didn't.
Oh,
he did tell us.
I was trying to understand why was he putting another circle in there?
Yeah, really. He told us that you can't see a geometric horizon. He said you can't draw a tangent to the horizon. That's what he said. Well, your whole model's based on that. That's the basis, the premise of a geometric Earth model. So Rumpus came in today and told us you can't see that. Bye-bye globe model. It's geometric and needs tangents. He tried to obfuscate it quite a lot too by talking about two circles joining with tangents, also straight, to get around the fact that he hasn't got a straight line anymore. So yeah, he did terribly.
Is that Mole Man?
Yep, I got a quick question.
Is that Mole Man?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Mole Man, but I have a question, QE, before you move into that.
Well,
because it's related to what Nathan just said.
You can pull, but Mole Man gets to go first. Sorry.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, we'll try to make this quick. We'll see how far it goes. I seen a message from you yesterday that said that according to QE, the delayed choice quantum eraser is not an experiment. Somebody sent that to me.
Yeah, because haven't you said that God is light?
God is light. Is that why? That's not what you're talking about. You said that the DV and the IV were supernatural.
Yeah.
So not God is light.
Supernatural?
Tell us how it's not an experiment.
Well, is light natural?
Yeah.
Do you say that, Chewie?
Are you having me on? Yes, it is, yeah.
Is
that it?
Information natural?
Is it? No, information supernatural.
Yep.
Okay, is knowledge natural?
Yes.
So knowledge of information.
Supernatural.
It's a mix of, like I said, the couple categories have little crossover. So knowledge can be, if we're not talking about God, we're talking about knowledge. We have knowledge. We can gain knowledge. We can purposely have a lack of knowledge, can't we? Does that exist?
What? Lack of knowledge?
Right, from this point on, just Mole Man and QE, please.
So we got the dependent variable. Do you know what the dependent variable is?
The which path information?
No, the dependent variable is the diffraction pattern. So let's move to the IV. So the IV in the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment is knowledge versus no knowledge. Correct?
Knowledge of what?
You've already said
path information.
Yeah, you already covered that, Mole Man. Yeah. Knowledge of the which path information.
Yes. Information. Yeah, but it's information. That's not natural, right?
No, it's not. It's a mix of supernatural and, I don't want to say man-made, but man has small domain over it. Follow?
Influence or something?
Hold on, Mole Man. The knowing one of two events that took place, that would be which path the light took. Yeah? Knowing which path... Let me just get to the end. Knowing which path it took, that is the independent variable. Knowledge of the which path. Now you're saying that gaining that fundamental understanding of which path it went through, well, the knowledge bit's supernatural. That's, from what I understand, your argument. But it's just knowing binary, if you will. Is it this one or that one in something that's happened in physical actuality? And knowing which one of those two things that happened in physical actuality, that's very much a physical, independent variable that can be varied and manipulated. I get what you're saying, because it's almost a good point, because you're saying, well, no, you're saying knowledge of the which path. Well, knowledge is supernatural. Well, I could see that argument playing out, other than it's the knowledge of something that's actually occurring in physical reality. Do you follow?
Yeah, but everything that's information happens in physical reality, so then information would also be natural.
Yeah, well, the information itself inside your brain, yes, but the thing that's occurring that you've got the knowledge of, that's actually occurred.
Nathan.
Having the knowledge of it is also you knowing one or the other. Yeah, the knowledge, yeah, the thing whizzing around in your brain has no physicality. I'll grant you that. But that doesn't mean that you don't have a variable, independent variable. You have.
Nathan.
But your independent variable is the knowledge of the information, or the which path information. Is
Knowledge of which
natural?
In this case, hold on. Slow down. It is the information existing. So the key is information, but you can't have information without a knower. But we don't have to go there. Let's just stick with information, right? Information existing collapses the wave function. So information is existing. Now, you can either know that information or not know that information, correct?
Yes. Well,
it could be varied, and it is the cause, right? That means it could be an independent variable. See, this is the paradox with philosophical naturalism. Philosophical naturalism, the worldview, the scientific method came out of philosophical naturalism, but that scientific method then reared its ugly, turned on its owner, and friggin' shot it in the head. Because that experiment destroys the philosophical naturalism worldview. Follow?
Yeah, but you said that the information exists even without a knower.
No.
Without a knower, you can't have the information. What is information?
Yeah, so the information.
If I give you an example, it's QEs, but look out, there's a tiger behind you. Without you to receive it or me to give you that information, there is no information. You've got to have a knower.
You got to have a transmitter and a receiver for information to exist.
Yeah, I've got to tell you, you've got to hear it. That means there's got to be a knower, somebody who knows at the end of the information transmission, which is me, the teller, if you will.
Yeah, well, I
so
just,
how
I guess
not
I
an
heard
experiment?
wrong.
Go ahead.
Go on, man.
Yeah, I thought that you said that the information, there is the information. If someone knows it, there's an outcome, and if someone doesn't know the information, there's an outcome, but the information still exists. But it's
no,
so there's just no
pay
receiver.
attention.
Oh, okay.
It's too early. Yeah. Hold on a second. But for the wave function to collapse, all the information need be is to be retrievable. That means it's existing somewhere on a notepad, in a computer, in someone's mind. It's got to exist somewhere and is retrievable. No one has to know it just yet for that wave function to collapse. So just the information existing somewhere, as long as this is very important, as long as it's able to be retrieved, then that wave function will collapse. No one has to know the exact path information just yet. Just as long as it's existing somewhere. Do you follow that?
Yeah,
so
but
it can be recorded and observed later. It doesn't have to be observed. It could be just recorded, correct, QE?
Yeah. As long as it's recorded and it's existing somewhere, then that wave function will collapse.
So then the independent variable isn't the knowledge of the information. It's just the information existing.
Information existing, yes. Exactly. You got it.
Yeah. Exactly. But information is not natural.
Well, you've got an interesting point because of the way that the way the independent variable's phrased means that you do have a valid point in terms of its phraseology. Because it's phrased knowledge of the which path, then yeah, on surface level, you've got a valid point. It's an interesting discussion.
I agree.
Because it's not even the knowledge of the information, it's the existence of the information. No one has to know anything about the information. It'll still collapse.
That can be, but that can be manipulated, number one. So an independent variable must be able to be varied and manipulated, number one. It must exist, number two. And number three, it's the cause of the effect. So every single one of those criterion are met.
But
for independent variable.
It's quite a common occurrence with you, Molman. You bring very, very interesting points up. I think last time it was God. This time it's the phraseology, and you've got a good point. I'd never thought about it, but the way it's phrased, that independent variable is pretty squirrely. You've got a good point.
I've always wanted to test it in absurd detail, like how this thing really works, because it is so confusing. But yeah, you have to have like a laboratory with the setup. It's really well thought out for that. So,
so is he still of the opinion that it's not an experiment? This is the point of it.
No.
Well,
not you, Irwin. Moleman. Hold on. Go ahead, Moleman.
I would still say that your independent variable is not natural, so it's not natural science at least.
The independent variable doesn't have to be natural, only the dependent variable, the observed phenomena.
But would it be natural science if you have non-natural in cause?
It's still natural science yet because it meets all the IV criterion.
Did you catch that?
This is the death. This is the death.
Hold on. Did you catch that, Moleman?
What? Catch what? The three.
You said, how can it be an experiment if your IV isn't natural? And the response was, the phenomena being studied, the dependent variable, has to be something occurring in nature, a natural phenomena. The cause doesn't have to be natural, but the dependent variable is a naturally occurring phenomena, absolutely without question. This light is definitely occurring in this way. All of our wavelengths are derived from it. It's definitely a natural phenomena being studied.
Right. That makes sense.
Welcome to true science, Mole Man. Someone summarize what exactly you guys are talking about, like this scientific experiment you guys are talking about?
Double slit quantum eraser.
I have to go for a moment.
Well, we're kind of not talking about the quantum eraser. We're really just talking about the double slit in this example. Although it was originally the quantum eraser that was being challenged. Is that right, Mole Man?
Yes.
Yeah, the choice
it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right.
In terms of discussion, though, all we've discussed is the double slit aspect of it, and the delayed choice is an elaboration of that principle. So it's the double slit we're discussing, whoever that was that asked.
So, can I say something real quick?
Paul's been waiting forever. Yes, you can, Paul.
I said this would be evidence that something immaterial can interact with the physical world, correct?
Yes, Paul. Well put.
Yeah.
Can I try to concisely phrase the setup with the known witch path experiment? So the phenomenon is physical. It is a natural phenomena. The thing you're varying and manipulating to test it, the independent variable, is supernatural, and information can be varied and manipulated, even though it's not physical, because we're human, right?
Good summary. Yeah. Yep. Light diffracts.
All right.
Yes, light diffracts. That's a dependent variable that's viable for inquiry with science. Your independent variable is real, can be varied, and is the cause. So you've got a valid independent variable, you've got a valid dependent variable, it's been varied and manipulated, it caused the effect. This is science, right? Okay?
Yeah. True science, original true science.
Right? But it's the death of philosophical naturalism. It's the irony of ironies.
Yes, it is ironic.
Yeah, let it sink in. It's really cool, man.
Did that slip?
I have a question when y'all get a moment.
Yeah, we'll get to you in a sec, Dave. I don't know if Alan wants to add anything. He's just summarised the test, but I don't know if you wanted to do that for a reason. Was there something else you wanted to add? If not, Alwyn, I want to check if everyone understands the destruction of philosophical naturalism by way of this experiment.
Where do we see a double slit in natural life?
Double slit isn't the phenomena. Diffraction is the phenomena. Can't you guys get this right after... It's been like 3 years I've been talking about.
No need.
Phenomenon, the result. It's like the result.
Stop, hello. Look, dude who just said that. Correct. Without all the bit that followed. Yes, light diffracts. That occurs naturally. Yes, you can see light diffracting naturally.
Question.
Please, not another anon.
Can I?
Yeah, yes, you can. You can. And then it's back to whoever it was that was wanting to add something. Was it Paul?
Can I state something first?
Go ahead.
The experimental setup has nothing to do with our point about being a natural phenomena that you observe. We're looking at the natural phenomena observed. We're not looking at the experimental setup and asking if that's natural or not. Of course it's not natural. Every experiment known to man is man-made. We're not the dependent variable is not the experimental setup. We don't observe the experimental setup in nature. The dependent variable must be natural. The effect. Get it? I doubt it. I'm going to have to do this tomorrow.
It's been
That's
3
why
years.
Cavendish is not an experiment.
Been 3 years, right? Well, I changed it. I changed the habit. Is someone else from Discord wanted to ask something?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Then we'll get into Dave. We'll go to Dave after. Breaking up, my friend.
Drop out and come back in.
Oh, sorry.
You can drop back in. You'll be coming back to Dave talking though. So Dave, feel free.
Yeah, does this at all point to a single knower or just knowers?
In this example, it's not really relevant. The information existence.
Potential knowers.
Potential, yeah. It could be a potential knower or knowers in this example.
Yep.
All right, that was my question.
Right.
You back? Go ahead. What's your question?
If the bad information can only be known is a natural phenomenon, then what's the observer? Isn't that caused by humans?
Diffraction isn't caused by humans, no. Light diffracts. That's naturally occurring. I didn't cause light to diffract.
That's the dependent variable. So what's your question?
He's saying, isn't that caused by man? That was his question. No.
No.
You don't cause light to diffract. Pushing it through a double slit induces the effect. But that's not the only way light diffracts. That's no. Light naturally diffracts.
Anything else? Ed. You know what Ed did yesterday?
Go on.
I went in there yesterday in the chat, and he posted a link talking about how squares are found in nature. Right? You lost the plot.
Yeah, I had that in the comments under that Simon Dan video. Somebody basically said, right, if I come across a square rock, yeah, then the erosion to get it to a square, well, that's something happening. Therefore, a square can be a phenomena. That's what I got in the comments. I'm like, yeah, if you happen to see the process of from circle to square, that process could be a phenomena. But you coming across a square, that's a concrete noun. It's just a rock that's cuboid, right? Likewise, tree. Tree is a phenomena. And you could go, well, yeah, but the tree's grown from a seed to this mighty oak. Yeah, well, the process of from seed to oak could be described as a phenomena. But the tree is a concrete noun. So just coming across a tree, nothing's happening. These people don't know the difference between a phenomena, something happening, and a concrete noun, square.
Is a square a how I question or a what is question?
Not a question
squares
at all.
exist in nature.
It's not even a question.
It's a description, a square.
Yeah. You get it, Ed.
Even
so
why
his appeal. So your appeal was a straw man, a real pathetic one.
But even
I want a bucket of squares.
Why is square? Yeah, you're asking about something that might have occurred, as opposed to being capable of studying something that's happening. A phenomena is something occurring. You know, leaf falling off a tree, that's a phenomena.
And just to add something, it's very difficult. Not that this has anything to do with the straw man argument, but straight lines in nature, it's very difficult to come by. Right? Unless you're talking about crystal lattices in atomic structure, but you ain't seeing those. I'm talking about in nature, walking around.
What about water lines?
You see, when people get lost and shit, that's how they can tell they're close to something man-made, is the straight lines. Watch those Survivor shows.
hold on, QE. Technically, light is natural, and it does go pretty damn straight.
Yeah, that's right.
Over vast distances, maybe not anymore, but
yeah, but that's a straw man. I said straight lines.
Yeah, going straight and being a straight line is very different. I was just going to give one example though, because I was like immediately, where can I think of a straight line in nature? What about a water
I
line?
figured everyone was doing it. I'm gonna get him.
But I got one. I think. What about a water line? So Bev showed us like a depleted, or it might have been 10th Man actually, a depleted lake, and it had a water line that ran all the way along it, and that was perfectly straight.
Yeah, horizons are pretty much straight.
Oh, remember the giant window fabricators?
Horizontal. Yeah, and
perfect flatness.
Well, I
that
understand what you're
contains
saying
straight lines.
in that way, but a horizontal line can be curving like the banks of the horizontal lake could be in and out.
That's a violation of the law. What? No. Straight, bent.
Yeah, there's very few of them. Like I said, I knew I'd get people. I'm gonna get him. Okay,
Well,
so the horizon, that's pretty straight line. Anything else?
Actually, I want to push back. You're measuring straight lines are a mathematical description. So you're looking at a horizon and you're putting a mathematical description on it. So technically, it's still not a straight line in nature. You're still only seeing a horizon.
Oh, you're pedantic. I don't want to go down that far, Paul. Yeah.
But hold on. A perfect flat surface has many straight lines on it, if you're going to get technical. I wanted to suggest that water could be absolutely straight when absolutely still. And I remember the glass maker. Remember, they somebody put a video about that on, and they used like a vast surface, and they used water as a start out point to create glass that was like super straight and big.
Not water, it's tin.
Yeah, but that's still sort of
tin.
manipulating it.
It's tin. That's molten tin. They float the glass on molten tin to get it perfectly flat. I already used that example with a water line. I just want to point out what Paul did though, because he's descending all arguments into farce. And one of the rare times that calling someone pedantic is actually accurate and a defense. Very rare that happens, hence me wanting to highlight it. So
thank you.
What Paul said is, because he's using an abstraction by way of description, that means that it automatically takes it into the abstract because he's described it. Well, by that definition, anything ever described ever in discussion is abstract by Paul's description, meaning that nothing can ever be real by Paul's declaration. Now, by semantics, that's technically true. If you want to get down to the Socratic method of this discussion, well, yeah, it's all abstract. It's just us describing it verbally. So technically, Paul's actually correct by way of semantics. Bastard. Who cares? Everything's therefore not real, Paul. Nothing's ever capable of being physically right when you describe it because it's all abstract, right?
Right, I got to drop for a minute.
Yeah. But just try it yourself. Go walk into the woods and try to find straight lines. Good luck.
Got a horizon on screen for the audience. Pretty straight.
Go walking around in the wood line. I'm talking about, not on a fucking beach.
Okay, there's obviously some caveats to this. Fair enough.
There is. That's what I prefaced it with, didn't I?
Yeah.
That's fine. I said they're very rare, right?
That's true.
Unless you're talking about atomic structure, crystalline structure, but you ain't seeing that. I'm saying go walking around in the wood line, in the wilderness, and try to find straight lines.
Damn, I would have got there eventually. Right, salt grows with straight lines.
There we go with crystalline structures.
Yeah, well, you said it before I got there.
Crystal surfaces, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those, though? They're mad. They, grow as cubes. It's absolutely awesome. Perfectly straight lines.
Let's see it.
There's other crystals, too, that do that.
Okay, Ed's back. I heard him.
Mole
it's me.
Mole man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just said icicles.
Icicles aren't
sort of
straight.
straight cones.
Nah, they're not.
Straight cones.
Straight cone. Straight cone.
The overall shape is quite straight.
Oh no! I can't see what he's saying.
Shape of a cone is straight. Really? Where at?
It's not angled. It's going down, down, down.
Yeah, I think we've had enough trying to find these exceptionally rare straight lines in nature. I'm sure there are some exceptions to the rule.
I want to see these salt crystals that you speak about, and I want you to post a picture on.
Oh, I could do that. I just turned my lights on. I was about to round out. You really want to see him on screen? I can go and dig that out. Give me 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Hold on. Why am I being challenged to this? Why am I just doing it rather than thinking about why I'm doing it and why I'm being challenged? This is me in a full sense of security, ladies and gentlemen. Why have you asked me to do this again?
Chewie, can I ask you a question?
It got to be quick. Hold on a second. I got to pull this up. Oh, that was Arwin. I'm sorry, Arwin.
Can you mute Ed if you're not Ed? Mole Man, if you're not talking, you're causing quite a lot of feedback. I don't know if you've got speakers right next to your mic or something.
No, I got windshield wipers.
Now I'm looking at the pictures. I'm not so sure about my claim. I'm not going to post anything, actually. I've changed my mind and I'm going to change the subject.
You got to do it subtle like, man.
Let's just do it.
You got to change it subtle like.
I was wrong. I was incorrect.
Now, Arwin's got
save you. I have a question.
Oh, Arwin's got something looking very man-made there.
Yeah? What is it? I can't. It's too blurry.
Like crystal.
Is that your hash pipe?
He's on mute, so he's showing us rather than being able to talk. But there we go. We've seen your example. Thank you for putting it on camera, Arwin.
That's smoking crack.
Oh, I'm on mute. But this is not man-made. This is natural. The ends are cut off, though. At this end, it's cut off. But the crystalline formation is purely natural. I wish.
Can you pull it back away from the camera? It's too blurry, man. We can't see it.
That's good. That's good.
That's pretty close, man.
That's pretty straight.
That's pretty tight. Yeah,
pretty straight too.
Yeah, that's why I liked it so much. So I made a hanger for it. My gold.
Do you feel vindicated?
I do feel
Nathan.
slightly vindicated, but they don't look. They didn't look like I thought they did in the caves.
See, this part is man-made.
Sure.
Huh. Yep.
But as you say,
Pretty
very
cool.
rare.
Let's put that under electron microscope, man. No.
No.
All right.
No.
All right. Hey, listen, Mole Man had a quick question, unless you need to go, Nathan.
No.
Yeah, so if your cause can be supernatural, how can you rule out like that as a cause in anything?
Who's rustling? Is that you, Arwin? You don't. That's what the method's for, Mole Man. I'm sorry, Kiwi. I'm speaking on your behalf. Go ahead, Kiwi.
In this particular case, it is information that is the key, the independent variable, right? It's partly, now we're talking about man's knowledge, correct? So there's a little crossover here because, like I said before, man has some crossover with the supernatural because life contains DNA. Let's just boil that down to that, right? DNA contains information. So ipso facto, you got man as being a mix. Are you tracking with me?
Well, sort of.
In this particular case, information is the key. So what were you trying to go for? Were you trying to go for like ghosts can cause stuff? Is that what you were going with the supernatural?
Anything supernatural. Because we don't know what
anything
supernatural is.
Can be what?
Independent variable, because you said that the independent variable doesn't have to be natural. Or the cause can be supernatural.
In this particular case, it's a mix.
Yeah, but how do we know? Wouldn't that wreck all science? Because we can never know the effects of the supernatural.
No, because we do know that information collapses the wave function. So it doesn't wreck all of science. It wrecks philosophical naturalism.
Yeah, epic. Glad you brought it up.
It breaks the barriers between the natural and the supernatural.
Precisely, which is the undoing of philosophical naturalism. But that's where the heart and roots of science have come from. So irony of ironies. This is what I was trying to concisely summarize it after the fact when QE brought it up. So yeah, isn't that ironic? So suddenly you have an overlap.
Oh my God. Is the conclusion that science doesn't prove anything?
No, it's not.
No. Just kidding.
Yeah, but it's like if I'm boiling water and I apply heat, how do I know that there's not also a supernatural aspect for the cause?
There is.
How can I rule it out?
You applied it.
There is?
Yeah, you applied it because remember I just said man is a little bit of a mix. It's a mixture.
As the cause, he's saying when you turn on a Bunsen burner, although that's very, very man-made, but just to make the point, then you're involved in the process. That's why one of the criteria for an independent variable is that it must be capable of being varied and manipulated by the researcher. So in this instance, you've got you actually creating the heat, which is the cause of a hot spring. Now, obviously, when you stumble across a hot spring, there's no involvement from you whatsoever. But that's what you've got to have to fulfill the DV criteria. It's got to be occurring naturally in the first place.
Right.
Yep.
Good?
Yeah, sort of. I have to.
Yeah, you'll get people would listen to this. They're contemplating in the background in their little freaking corners. I'm gonna get them with this. I love that.
I love. Need somebody in the background.
I'm gonna think on it a bit.
Okay, this well-established method that's hundreds of years old that's advanced humanity. You dwell on that. Maybe sleep on it.
Yeah. And then apply it to fear.
Well, hold on.
No, the sphere is a what is question.
You contend them all, man. Can you pop yourself
but if
on
you're
mute?
saying,
go on, Ed.
Nathan, if you're and QE, if you're saying when you pick something up and you drop it, then gravity or relative density, wherever you want to call it, is not the cause. The cause is you picking it up. Then how can you say that the pathway information is not man-made? Because only humans or human devices can observe it.
You want to do that, QE, or shall I?
It's not the phenomenon.
I didn't even hear him, dude.
I did. So again, you're convoluting the dependent and independent variables. Dependent variable, naturally occurring phenomena, as opposed to varied and manipulated cause. Well, in this instance, you can have man be the cause, and in this instance, the acquirable information by a knower is the cause. But that doesn't make it non-scientific because you don't have a scientific dependent variable. You still have light diffraction naturally occurring, and you can still study it. That's the whole point when it comes to the philosophical naturalism. If you've got the assertion of philosophical naturalism, and then you acquire a cause that had something supernatural as part of it, then that debunks the idea of philosophical naturalism.
I'll be back in a couple minutes, man. Are you going to close shop?
In about 4 minutes, I am. If you want to hang around just 4 more minutes, that'd be handy.
4 minutes. 4 or 10?
4 more minutes.
Yeah, I won't catch you. I'll catch you on the flip side. Busy week for me this week after today, but just want to let you know.
Excellent show, though.
Got a show today. It's going to be a debate with Mr. Chicken Wings, and he's the last one, but co-show on my channel today. So it'll be good.
So members only will get that information today, so they can catch it if they watch it immediately after upload, or if you're watching this on the second channel on Wednesday. It was yesterday. Go and check it out on Quantum Eraser's channel. Anyone want to plug their channel? Feel free.
I can plug a video
Go ahead. Feel free.
or a debate for today, this evening. McToon and Main Surveyor versus Bev and Cleary.
Bevan Cleary versus
McToon and Main Surveyor.
And what channel is it on?
I think it's at least in McToon's, but I think Bev might have it also. It's I think it's 9 p.m. UK time.
So Be Here or Be Sphere on McToon's channel for McToon and the Main Surveyor versus Bevan Cleary. 9 p.m.
Might also be in UK's channel.
That's for members only again, because they're the only people who are going to watch this. It's going to be after the fact. If you're watching it on Wednesday, it'll have been yesterday. Check it out. Be Here or Be Sphere. It'll already have been done and dusted. So check it out on McToon's channel.
Clearly, both ballers are idiots.
I like to plug my channel.
Feel free.
10th Man Rising at YouTube. And the latest video is a 12-minute interview with 3 normies. And I go over the 3 top 10s. The top 10 we have, or housekeeping questions, 9, I guess, at the moment, but the top 3. Earth-based Coriolis, gas pressure without a container, and, of course, the black swan.
Do you deal with terrestrial refraction?
I dealt with it. I was standing on it.
That's 10th Man Rising YouTube channel. Anyone else want to plug their channel? You've got 2 minutes.
Right. Yeah, me. Arwin, ARWIGN. I have a daily show 1 hour before the weekly Flat Earth debate starts, but I also have a show in the weekend, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time every day. And yeah, I talk about Flat Earth technicals as well. I interact with ballers in chat. That's how I do my show, most of it. And with Flat Earthers, the regulars. And talk about everything that's interesting, in my personal opinion. So, yeah, come and watch the show.
That's ARWIJN, and the show is called Flat Earth Early Bird. So Be Here or Be Sphere, 1 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time, or no matter where you are, directly before the Flat Earth debate, which is about 8 p.m. Central Standard, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, and 2 p.m. UK time. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on either the member-only stream before it went out on the second channel, Nathan Oakley, or if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, a massive thanks for either smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to all of today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. Once again, I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!